This particular specific episode of the Rainbow Brainskull podcast is brought to you by you, the viewer. If you go to the bathroom and look in the mirror, you can get direct all-access views of you, the viewer. The secret was inside of you the whole time, the viewer. My guest today is the amazing Rick Wood. Hit it! Welcome to the Rainbow Brainskull Hour. You're gonna have a good real time today. Every week there's a new guest, so that you'll learn something new. 'Cause that's all that we're here to do. Yeah. We haven't started yet, but also we've kind of started. But this part gets edited out, and this part gets edited out.
Yeah.
But just making sure all my BPs are off. There's the cat right behind me, who is sleeping nicely. I didn't want to move him from his chair. You still do your podcast, right? Just Bill Burr style, just you rambling around?
No.
When did you stop?
About, during the election, during the campaign.
Oh, just...
I realized I was just screaming about that all the time.
Just how it had taken over everything?
Yeah, I feel like it was taking everything out. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, really. And
yeah.
I was like, and I'm just screaming in my car.
Yeah, you just couldn't have... You can't have all the data.
And I was like, I'm not that interesting for this long.
So you stopped it in 2016 then?
Yeah.
That was the last of it? Do you miss it?
Sometime. Nah, not that one really. I don't know. I kind of miss having a podcast. I do one intermittently with Harry Morose and our friend Aaron Floor, who's not a comedian. That's enjoyable.
Regular job person?
Yeah. He's funny. He's one of the few people where I've been like, you should try comedy.
Yeah, the best people never do it.
Yeah.
That's actually not true. Like, some really good people actually do it. But oftentimes, people that would never consider doing stand-up just are funny and don't need to do it.
Even some of the funny, like, one of the funniest people I know is a comedian, not a particularly great comedian, like, in terms of the craft of it.
You mean, like, really funny off stage and not that funny on stage?
And sometimes on stage, but it's not predictable. They don't really have that ability to be able to get into to tap into the funny like, immediately. So it's hit or miss. But sometimes he'll get up and it's brilliant. And like, holy shit, why don't you just do that every time? And it's like, it's because it's not how I feel every time. I don't know. I can't.
I remember having, I don't know if I've evolved or devolved since this. I'm hoping I've evolved, but I would tell people, if I would go on a rant sometimes off stage, they'd be like, how come you don't do that on stage? Back when I was very disconnected, one-liner, keeping a persona away from the thing. I'm like, I thought I was doing that. I guess I wasn't. I guess I was just writing jokes and just... you know, making a joke about super soakers or something that has nothing to do with anything. Like when you hear a comic break down a song or a billboard and you learn nothing about the person other than that they're angry about something.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to write one of those, just like in this song, they say blah, 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 blah. But when you analyze it, that person's crazy.
Yeah, it's like a trope in comedy now.
There's so many now.
Lyrics don't make sense. You're like, yeah, I mean, it's not even, it's like a poem that doesn't even have rules.
Yeah.
That's what's like teenage poetry. I mean, a lot of them don't.
What's some tropes you've noticed in recent stand-up, like 2018? Like, for example, one I would think is like, they do a crazy voice and then they go, what if I did that the whole time? What if my whole set was that crazy?
Ironic detachment has bothered me the whole time I've been doing it, so I don't even know when it started. But remember, there was the Hack Handbook that Andy Kindler did, and it was basically like club tropes, like shitty, hacky club comedy.
Yeah, in the 90s,
because they were the new wave of alt. But now alt's been around long enough that it has its own hack. And I think people have called it out, but they're always just like aggro-ass angry club dudes.
Yeah.
And I never get that mad about it, but I'm always like, you do, from an artistic perspective, like no one's noticed that there's like that, where are my something heads at? Like they'll reference a thing that's not well liked. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure of the comics, but it's something like Tonic, the band Tonic, or something, some like relic from the 90s. And like, where are my Tonic heads at? There aren't any. I've heard variations that
where my Tonic heads at?
It was probably funny the first time someone did it, where they're like, where my Hoobastank head's at. You know, I mean, who's a Hoobastank head?
Making fun of that band that you're supposed to not like.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even necessarily have to be a band, but just any. But now there's like, where my blank head's at is one I noticed, where it's like, all right, well, I'm sick of hearing that.
What about the one where you step on your punchline where you're like, and then so I threw him off a bridge, and then you say as the joke just happened.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
There's a bunch of weird stuff like that.
Conan O'Brien does it a lot, but that's okay because he's been around forever. Yeah, and also I didn't say that because I want to do Conan. Yeah, but do I want to do Conan? Does it matter at this point? Like I struggle
with that.
I feel like in 2 years it's going to get so strange that all these things that we're thinking of now that we like I'm always thinking of how you're going to be able to make a video of anyone say or do whatever you want within a few years very easily. The same way you can make a photo of anyone do whatever you want with Photoshop stuff. And at that point, what is anything at that point?
What's reality now?
Yeah. Have you played with VR much? With the Vive?
Not recently.
Or the Oculus?
That was my first like real gig, like in comedy. Your
first real gig was in VR?
Aside from like stand-up shows, but like the first writing gig was writing for the Proto Awards, which was the annual. And I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but there was a company called VRLA who had like jumped on the idea of we're going to corner the market, I think, on the content awards for VR.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of like essentially to be like the Oscars of virtual reality content.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it was in the industry. It was a small kind of, I don't know how serious anyone took it. I mean, it was a well-produced and big event for that, but I was a writer for the first 3 years of that. And then the last year they didn't do it. And then
you wrote jokes like you would for an award show?
Yeah. Like for the host.
Like what's a joke? Do you remember any of them?
I wish I could remember the ones I wrote. The first year Thomas Middleditch hosted it, and I can't remember shit that I wrote. The second year was Jonah Ray, and the joke I remember writing was for Best Independent Experience, which was like unfunded. It was like the indie rock of VR, like guys with a computer coding a program in their mom's basement. So I was like, this is the best independent experience. It means these nominees don't have, big money backing. Or it's all, and then the joke was, all of these nominees are poor, but only one will be the poorest.
The poorest. That's a good gig to have. The Thomas Middleditches, the TJ Millers, recently Matt Ingebretson and Jake Weissman. I was telling them this, which they're fully well aware of, but if you're associated with a thing that is corporate or technological, like your opportunities are... you then get those opportunities in the real world. Like if you're on a show about technology, it's like, do you want to come speak at the techie thing? You
think they'll get a lot of corporate?
They already have.
They get Comedy Central's corporate.
Yeah,
I guess it's the company. It's like, yeah, but we're not like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not.
Have you watched it? It's the best show.
Is it? I haven't. I don't watch much TV.
I don't watch much TV either, but
don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
I also like watching people I know and stuff. Like I'm not able to fully disconnect. It's like my least favorite thing about being out here.
Is it jealousy or what? Or it's just it takes you out of it?
I think probably there was a point of jealousy with some things before. But with that, it would just be like, I know everyone in this show.
That's what I kind of like about it. Like seeing the extras in the background, but specifically, and not just because I know them. Like there's plenty of people who I know and I can't watch their show. It's just unwatchable to me. But theirs is specifically, it's a really good show. I would try that one out.
I'll check it out then.
Yeah. So what did we just get back from? We just got back from the Occult in America lecture. Me and Rick just went to what was it called?
The
Occult
Philosophical Research Society.
Yeah,
or the University of Philosophical Research.
Yeah, watching Mitch Horowitz. Was that his name?
Yeah.
And he's the author of Occult in America. Is that the name of the book?
I think it is. I haven't read it.
And he didn't really talk much about the occult. It was super interesting, but he didn't talk about it. And he prefaced his lecture with, I could tell you about the history of occult and how it has sprung up and the various characters, but instead what I'm going to do is focus on one story that reflects all of them, which, I mean, it was an interesting take on it, but I don't know. What do you feel about it?
I was having trouble following everything. I realized I'm a terrible student.
Yeah, me too.
I can read a thing, I can watch a video, but like I was like, this is why you didn't finish college.
Oh, you never finished?
No, I went like a semester and a half.
Yeah, you're a smart guy though, but I feel like you're like me. You're taking in information from all these different sources.
I'm almost
stuff.
done reading Wikipedia.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, we go constantly. I feel like I was forever like everyone would find something cool on the internet. They'd be like, look at this thing. It was like Homestar Runner was like the first thing. It was like, how'd you? Like I've been using it to read. Like I don't know any question I have.
Oh, really? You used it for its intended purpose as an encyclopedia?
I feel like I'm Wikipedia Brown or something. Just
what about
like
TV tropes? You get into TV tropes?
I did look up a bunch of those the other day just for writing something.
It's like a lighter Wikipedia. It's they describe it this themselves.
Oh, it's a real site?
Yeah, tvtropes.org.
Googling. Can't believe I didn't find that while I was looking for sitcom
You're going to go
tropes.
down such a rabbit hole because it's just focused on literature and it's less formal. They describe it as a buttload less formal than Wikipedia, but it is Wikipedia in a sense for TV.
Trivia. Before that, it was like the Uncle John's bathroom reader, like that book someone would have.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was just full of like anecdotes and weird sidebars of history. Like the guy who invented fucking cornflakes or something. You know?
Yeah, because a cure to masturbate or something.
Yeah. Like the graham cracker, I think, was that, right?
Really?
And Kellogg was another like religious food, like boring foods.
What were they
like
eating that was
thing.
boring? I find those delicious, like especially in like chocolate or something, those Ritter Sports or
graham crackers
or cornflakes.
Cornflakes. Yeah, but it was just original cornflakes with no sugar on them.
Oh, that's why they changed it.
Yeah.
A long time.
Now
Yeah, I don't know
can
what
get
it tasted
Frosted
like back
Flakes
then.
Are great. I'll eat a bowl of cornflakes now, though. When I was a kid, that was like torture. My mom bought cornflakes.
Yeah, because we know what first class is. We know what Lucky Charms marshmallows taste like.
This is not
we know what
edible.
Frosting Flakes is. Yeah.
She's like, you need to stop eating so much garbage. Also, cornflakes are like, you can get a 55-gallon drum of cornflakes for like $3.
Yeah.
So it's just a very good economic cereal. And I hate it, but now I'll be like, ooh, I kind of got a hankering for some cornflakes.
Do you know Christina Toshi of Milk Bar, Momofuku Milk Bar?
No.
She's the inventor of cereal milk, not like, of course, actual cereal milk, but she's responsible for making it like this cult phenomenon of, dessert things. And her first cereal milk was cornflakes, I think, and she had like some debut thing and had to introduce a dessert, and she made cereal milk custard or something and didn't tell anyone what it was because if she told them they'd be like, no, you can't do that, but she just made it a cornflake cereal milk thing.
Strain the milk through the
and then that David what's his face guy, man, I know his name, the David chef, the mind of a chef, whatever, famous chef guy named David Momofuku, and he's like, what is this? And then she's like, yeah, it's cereal milk with cornflakes. Like, this is it. This is the thing that's going to change your life. And it did. And it launched her whole career. I think that's what I took away from it. So what I took away from that occult lecture thing, correct me if I missed any of this from whatever gaps
I have kind of a grasp of the plot.
So there's this lady who was super into occult stuff in the late
forgot her name.
1800s.
She had a Russian name.
Yeah, some Balakovich person. People listening to this are going crazy if they know who we're talking about.
We're getting nailed up. I'm supposed to know about this stuff because I'm interested in it.
Yeah. I'm a really bad woo-woo person. Like, I know stuff, but I also have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, once you got names and dates, I'm like, why is that important? It's all, what, permanence? Come on.
Yeah.
You're gonna name it?
Ryan Singer's really good at that. He was on an episode of this, and he's just naming, like, all these names. Like, you got to watch this TED Talk, this person that brought occultism during this year. I'm like, oh, damn, he actually knows his woo-woo. But, yeah, so there's the old lady who was super into occult stuff, moves to India, and then Mohandas Gandhi, before he was named Mahatma Gandhi, goes...
Yeah, when he was trying to be a barrister, basically.
Yeah, he hated Hinduism. He wanted to escape that. He wanted to just be a good boy British lawyer, like super straight. And then they asked him to translate the Bhagavad Gita, and he'd never read the Bhagavad Gita before, but he's like, yeah. And then as he's like reading it and meets with this lady, it changes his whole life. And he's like, oh, I'm all about this stuff. Fuck being a British lawyer with his hair parted in the middle.
Yeah, it seemed like these people's interest in where he came from sparked an interest. That happens to everyone in a way, right? Like, I left Virginia where I grew up, so I guess it's closest thing to like a home I had. Think like, fuck this place, I hate it, I never want to go back.
That was your only childhood home?
Yeah, I was like, and I I just mostly lived on my block. I never had a car until I was like 19, and it was really hard to get around anywhere. So even when people were like, oh yeah, did you used to go to this? I was like, nah, I mostly, just went to my job and went to school and kind of putzed around the neighborhood. But then I left thinking like, God, I hate that place. I never want to think about it again. But then at a certain point, you meet up people who are like, oh, Virginia, that's cool. And you're like, yeah, it is cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they think it's cool. So then you're like, yeah, there's a thing about me that's inherently kind of you're interested in. And then I was like, I guess it is all right. You
remember the good parts after people pointed out what happened there. Yeah, you remember the good parts after people pointed it out. But, man, that clicking just threw me off. That's how easily set off I am with a little slight sound delay thing. I'm keeping it in the episode because it's a raw episode. Yeah,
we're getting down. We're going to the truth. We're breaking through the illusion.
But yeah, it's you kind of end up compressing a lot of mundaneness into like interestingness, whether you're from, a very not active suburb. Was it just like suburbs or what?
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't like trying to also look up this lady's name. Not ignoring.
Oh yeah, the Russian.
Yeah,
the Russian.
That's what we should call her. I guess, but it didn't feel like the suburbs the way it's portrayed. It wasn't nice. Like I still have like, if someone had like more than 4 windows on one side of their house, in my mind, I'm like, you're just rich, like really rich. Yeah, but everything worked out great. I bet you had lines in your yard after it got mowed that all were parallel and shit.
The Hank Hill yard.
Yeah. And it's like my yard was like crabgrass that I mowed in like a fit of rage while listening to like Pink Floyd on cassette. I'd like mow spirals into the yard because I'd get bored. And then, not that has anything really different to it. It was just kind of trashy, I guess.
Yeah.
It looked like a little bit watching season 1 of True Detective, the way they're just driving around. It was like slightly less rural, but that same kind of just pastiche of like just shit.
Yeah.
It was Southeast Virginia.
That was like about the occult, wasn't
destitute,
it? In the end,
just boring. Yeah,
the first season of it.
It's like my favorite thing ever. Put the film or whatever they'd shot it on.
Season 1.
Yeah,
it was good.
Just love it. I mean, I don't know if it's good or not. When people are like, "The movie's not good," I was like, "I liked it."
Yeah, I liked it too. Yeah. And whether it was just McConaughey carrying the whole thing, just like that Rust Cole character was infectious.
I really liked Woody Harrelson in it too.
He was good in it too.
Kind of like, just kind of son of a bitch. Just like, that was a good show.
And was like the 90s nostalgia too, a little bit without being pop culture, without about like remember
like
Friends.
Real 90s nostalgia. Yeah, we're like, this is actually what it was most of the time.
Yeah,
because every time like when they do like a 70s movie, they show it like it's all just polyester and fucking crazy wallpaper, like everything's cutting edge and fresh, and they're just all disco dancing.
Yeah, it's all bell bottoms.
Yeah, everyone's smoking PCP out of a fat joint. And you're like, no, it was mostly just people still doing boring shit that was still kind of kicking around from the 50s and 60s too.
You see that Nile Rodgers documentary where it documents like his rise to disco and like how many songs he's played on and how many of those songs are just that one Stratocaster he has called Hitmaker.
Oh, right.
And then it documents like the end of disco, because disco was everywhere. Everyone loved disco, and then after a while it was just everywhere and so accepted, and people in disco music videos look like they're having a good time. So once 1979 rolled around, it's like, all right, we're sick of this shit. Everyone get out your disco records and we're burning them here in the arena.
And disco's dead. Stuff. The rock guys burning disco.
Yeah, because I grew up with cartoons, which like Tiny Toons and Rugrats and all of them would make jokes about how disco is dead, or Simpsons would make jokes about disco is dead. I'm like, what happened?
Disco stew.
Yeah, what happened with disco? It was this mysterious thing. I thought it was like,
it got too big, and then people tear it. It's like culture is like the Tower of Babel, that story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a perfect anecdote for like any cultural phenomenon.
What's the Tower of Babel story?
So like this is Old Testament shit where people got together and they said, we're going to build a tower, and the tower's going to be so big it'll reach to God. They're essentially going to build a stairway to heaven. And God was like, no, you're not. And to stop the tower from being completed, he made it so everyone spoke a separate language all of a sudden. It's like supposed to be this
that's why it's the Babel fish is the translator thing. Yeah,
it's a myth for the invention of separate languages or dialects. And so then the story is like a man would ask for the mortar and be passed a brick, and it became such confusion that they just gave up on this tower. Really, of all the Old Testament stories, God's most chill solution to smiting man who dared defy him. He's like, I'm not going to rain fire down on anyone. I'm just going to, make you speak Spanish and you're doing fucking French or whatever, something far enough away that you're not going to be able to communicate. And then that's it.
Yeah.
So like now I think in culture in a way, when something gets too big, we decide like, oh, we got to.
Yeah, with people.
So I guess it's not a direct
with
analogy,
people,
but touting
with
it torn
things.
down, but put a stop to it.
Yeah. Where did I get to from that? Oh, yeah. Did you ever find out that lady's name?
Oh, yeah. I just put
Lady
Gandhi
Horovich? Lady Borovich?
something like that.
Lady Cador. It's something Lady Vitch. This is excellent content right now.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Lady something Vitch.
Blavatsky.
Oh.
The Theosophy.
There wasn't a Vitch? Jesus.
Nah, Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky. From the Lama...
Krishna Foundation,
Yeah.
Lama Surya,
The
Krishna.
Lamasery.
I
Over
merge
there
them
on
all
8th Avenue.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
I merge Rahama. Like, who is it? There's the Beatles guru guy. There's Neem Karoli Baba. There's Bhagwan Rajneesh from Wild Wild Country. Have you seen that one?
I watched the first episode, and then it wasn't that I didn't like it. I just got busy. It didn't fully engage me though. I like
gotcha.
cults when they're like, I kind of like good old fashioned American cults.
Just murder at the end with one guy
Yeah.
screwing everybody.
Yeah, those are the intriguing
Yeah.
ones. They're not good. Like the Wild Country one, I was like, they seem nice.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And
They
so it's
are,
like,
except for one person. That's, or I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not
you just find
one
out
person.
that the guy who's peddling the bullshit, he's actually just like, well, I just grew this beard. Now I have a lot of money. He's always like got a limo, but he hates materialism. And the members are probably like, oh, well, I mean, he understands it enough that he's able to not succumb to it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Gandhi in bed with the women, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, he would lie down on
He's
like
like,
a
I'm alive
pile of
with naked.
13-year-olds or something.
it's-
I might be butchering this. It might be
It
18-year-olds.
might, yeah, and it could be just one or two, but it would be still a young naked, an object of desire to a man at that time for sure. Why are you in bed with these young naked women?
Isn't that funny that we
resist the temptation, like he's weight training with lust?
Yeah, the ankle weights or
You
something.
know how much lust I can bench? Most of it.
What is it that like but we all know these important altruistic historical figures, but now we also know the bad thing about him, kinda. It's like we know Gandhi was great, but he would sleep on top of 13-year-olds. And it's like Martin Luther King was great, but he beat his wife, or he cheated on his wife.
her,
Maybe
yeah.
he didn't beat his wife. That's
I don't
made
know.
up.
I mean, it could be.
Or John Lennon beat his wife or something like that.
People every time I bring him up, I was talking to some guys like, yeah, I like some of John Lennon's solo stuff. I mean, a lot of it's like wackadoo nonsense. He beat his wife. I'm like, it's not on the fucking records. Like,
all I
It's
am
the whole- that's
saying
separating the art
is
from the
beat
artist
your
thing.
wife.
if you play them backwards, it does sound like Yoko Ono's being beaten. But I just don't. I get it where you're like, yeah, you don't want to. I understand not wanting to give a terrible person your money. But I mean, no matter what John Lennon did, I guess he got his. It's like, what do they?
Yeah, it's a weird pocket, too, where I think in 10, 20 years, it's going to be looked back at as like, well, yeah, of course he beat his wife because his dad did this to him and his dad before him did this and this. So it's like a linear, like
he's
now
probably
we
passing on
understand
some
psychology.
bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just rolling down a fucking hill.
Yeah, I long for the day that we're already kind of doing it, but just have a full understanding of psychology where we can't just victim blame or witch hunt people anymore.
I struggle with that shit because I get mad, about politics, or not even politics. It's a word for like division now. So politics, fuck it. I'm like, fuck these people. They're the worst. We should destroy them. But then there's this other part of me that's like, that's part of you. Like, I do believe that we're on some higher level, we are just a part of one thing.
We are.
And so it's like if you have like an ingrown toenail, or, in the case of what we're dealing with now, perhaps it's like gangrenous. At what point are you like amputation? You know what I mean? Like, it's part of your. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
Oh, yeah,
but
also, suppose you could, though.
Pain, do you immediately hate? So you break your arm, and you're like, "Oh, I hate my arm. We should just take it off." And you're like, "Well, maybe it can be fixed."
Yeah, it's probably the fixing part.
Yeah, I mean, where
And the
you
arm
at in
thinks that about
society?
the rest of the body too. The arm you're trying to cut off is thinking about, killing the rest of the body.
Yeah, especially cancer is a great analogy for it. I suppose your body has gone rogue in a way, and you want to eliminate the cancer from it. But you're like the last scenario for that is generally like amputation or something. But ideally, you'd be like, well, let's treat it and get this, the abnormal cells out. This analogy is just a mess.
Do you get more frustrated as time's going on, or has it mellowed you out? Like that, we can't stay upset. Like I feel like 2 years ago it was easy to get upset by something in the news, but now, like before you're done getting upset at whatever shooting or law that's getting passed, a new thing has taken its place to where you can't even keep track of the stuff that you're upset about.
Everyone's in a constant state of agitation.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough time
It's like
mentally
being
right
poked with
now.
a stick.
The easiest time physically, I think, like the easiest time to...
Yeah, chairs are better than ever.
Chairs are better than ever. You don't have to go to the grocery store. It comes to your house in a box, and it's cheaper to buy it on Amazon than it is to go to the store, and it's better
cushy.
service. So,
You see
yeah.
that commercial for that mattress where they're dropping eggs on it, the eggs won't break.
The purple mattress?
Right?
Whoops.
It's all over. So it's like the best mattress that's ever been invented is available now, but we're the most uncomfortable we've ever been in a mental way. Like you could lay down on all your eggs that you were able to get from a free-range chicken, and there's no chance you're going to die of salmonella from this egg. And you could put it on a bed that you could jump on them and they won't break, but you still feel bad. What the fuck happened?
It's the ultimate devil's trick. Like, yeah, I'll give you blank, and then he takes away your other blank that's necessary to you to enjoy the blank. It's still giving me crap.
I'm not hearing anything.
Really?
It's perception, man.
You're not hearing me at all?
I'm hearing you. I mean, I'm not hearing clicking or anything.
Oh, okay, good. Then
What is it, like a clicking or a popping noise?
It's a delay. I heard a delay and a popping with the delay, but now it's kind of gone. So yeah, as long as it's not doing it in your ears, then it's not recording it on the file, and it's all in my head.
Cool.
And like it's a podcast too. Like no one cares about sound quality of a
They've
podcast.
really gone. Some of the podcasts have gone way up in sound quality, I guess, but I've listened to a few that are, kind of popular. People are tuning in, and their sound quality from a music person standpoint, I'm like, this. You almost, if it's my friends, I kind of want to email and be like, hey, you want me to come by? I'm always doing that, like trying to help. And then you realize people don't care. They don't want your fucking help, man.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then,
I'll listen to old Terrence McKenna lectures that are inaudible with a hiss going on in the background, but I want that substance of it. Whereas like a really good Katy Perry song through a $15,000 stereo, I don't want to hear that. Not that I have that, but I wouldn't want to hear.
It's another, like we're up there with the mattress.
Yeah.
It's like now we're able to document everything, and the shit we're documenting, is it something we're going to want to look back on that much?
Who knows?
And maybe that's always been the way. There could have been like just geniuses running around really having something important to say in the past, but they're like, oh, listen, we're not dragging the camera out for this crazy guy. We got Ed Sullivan and Elvis here or whatever, or the Beatles, whoever was on that shit.
That's what Frank Zappa's opinion of classical music kind of is. Not all of it, but in general, how classical music is just regarded as like the penultimate best thing ever. But he was like, no, this is just something that the Pope hired people to do. Like said, play it like this. Don't play that note. Otherwise, I'll cut off your head.
Banned an entire interval.
Yeah.
The diminished fifth was banned by the Catholic Church.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
Like
they banned the whole
evil
fifth.
chord. Not the fifth, but the diminished. It's like if you
fifth.
play a power chord, like on 5 and 7.
Okay.
This is some guitar talk for you non-muso folks. Man, get on Wikipedia. Everything's there. And but say you play like an A and an E, so that's like a fifth, like a power chord, an A power chord, 5th fret E string, 7th fret A string. But if you play 6th fret A string, so you're playing like A and E flat or D sharp, whatever. It's got like an evil sound.
Yeah,
like
they want it to all
Sabbath-y.
just sound like pleasant.
Yeah,
all major
so
sounding.
Never use that. That's the devil's chord. There's like the devil's triad. I don't know what the third note is on that.
That's so
but once
funny.
I find out, start a fucking badass metal band.
What are we doing now that's the equivalent of that? We must be doing something. Is it the nipple?
No, like nothing's profane in that way anymore. That's like with the weird. I kind of miss, even though it was a fucked up, uptight time, and so you can't really miss it because it was like certainly the '90s. Even then, it was a real rough time for like any gay or trans people. I think they were like heavily demonized.
I remember they called the cops once at my elementary school because there was a cross-dresser walking by. The cross-dresser wasn't even doing anything, and I'm sure you can't even use the word cross-dresser now, but like just the fact that there was one nearby, it was like, oh, we got to call the cops. There wasn't even on the school grounds. It was across the street from the school.
Yeah, like what kind of panic? But there's a part of it where it's like it was a fun time for like Marilyn Manson and shit. When
he can't shock anyone now.
Yeah, now that's
what could he do?
If that act came out now, no one like. There's this band Ghost now, and their whole shtick is it's like a satanic pope. No one gives a fuck. Like kids think it's cute. It's fun. It's like
I don't even know about them. I've never even heard of Ghost.
They're like a melodic kind of metal. They're like pop metal. They're fun.
Yeah.
I saw them open for Maiden last summer, and I was like, all right, these guys, I thought they were going to be like this screeching Norwegian black metal band based on the ghoul makeup and shit and the graphics, and then they came out, and it's like, nah, they're really good.
That's always a pleasant surprise. You just showed me Church of the Cosmic Skull, and I thought you were just sending it to me because like I do the Rainbow Brainskull thing, and I'm like, oh, it's like a similar thing. I sent it to
a lot of people, but also when I sent it to you, I was like,
yeah, I thought you were sending it just because of that.
Authentically would like it.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And then you asked again, like, did you listen to it? I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to listen to it. I thought you were just pointing out the similarity. And
I hate when people do that.
And then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh shit, I actually like this. And I don't even like most stuff. Like most stuff doesn't move the needle, and they only have that one record, and it's such a cool mix of. You described it as like a Thunderbird on the moon.
Yeah, it's like it'd be like drinking a High Life in a Trans Am on the moon.
Yeah, Trans Am on the moon.
Lucifer riding shotgun with a plastic Jesus on your dashboard.
Yeah, it's exactly that. A mix of Frank Zappa, ABBA.
Yeah, I saw a review. I think it was in Mojo, maybe, or someone somewhere wrote they put the ABBA in Sabbath. And it's like that guy earned his pay, or girl, that person earned their paycheck that day.
Yeah, that took me a second. That's clever, though.
Yeah, and then it's what I like about him is it's progressive rock, kind of in like almost the traditions of like Yes, or not as pompous sounding. I think
it's catchy. Yeah, it's not just showing off.
Yeah, they're playing intricate riffs that are constantly sort of evolving, where it's like they're restating the pattern but different. It's progressive riffing, but they're over top of it doing pop, well structured 6-part vocal harmonies with a hook. So it's like they got the infectious hook of pop music with the substance of like complex musicianship underneath of it. So there's something for everyone.
Yeah,
I mean, like I can go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, I'm still hearing cool stuff happening with the guitar and the organ and the interplay, but I'm already like in on like the cool vocal hook. Whereas prog is usually like the vocals seem almost like an afterthought, or there's like a fucking novel for lyrics.
Yeah, the Dream Theater guy like leaves sometimes. I don't even know them that well, but he walks off stage and is gone for like 30 minutes.
They're an impressive bore. Like you've never been so impressed and bored in your life. I'm sure if a Dream Theater fan hears this, it'll be the first time I get hate mail from a podcast.
They get it. I went and saw Steve Vai at
incredible musician.
Yeah, and I got made fun of it by the people who worked at the theater, and I knew that they were like, and it wasn't even full. It was like half full or something at the Paramount Theater.
That shit's fun to go see, though.
Yeah, for free, because I knew the person booking the thing, and they would just hook me up with if it wasn't a sold out thing. Like, yeah, you can just come over if it's not sold out tickets, and it was interesting. Like. And one time he was like playing a funky thing, and then he like referenced Prince and saying like, and now we're gonna play some Prince, and then did that, and then stopped for a second. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. If I played like that, I'd have a career. And then like, wait, but you just showed you could do that for a second. How come you didn't just put one of those in the set? Not a Prince song, but just the versatility of it.
Yeah, do some kind of. There's an ego thing in that, maybe. Where it's like, yeah, you ever play with musicians? Where I find this happens with drummers a lot.
They don't listen. Not all drummers, but
sometimes. Doing a lot of shit. And you're just like, the song doesn't. People don't want to serve the song. I remember being a young bass player who was like way into Rush and Geddy Lee. People hated playing with me because I was playing like an asshole.
Yeah,
I was trying to let people know I was good. And then finally some guy was like, we get it, you're good, but just be in the fucking band, man. And you're like, oh yeah.
Who was, that reminded me of someone was saying, yeah, Jaco Pastorius, that's it. When he was joining Weather Report, they said, look, we already know you can play, just let's do what's good for the record. And he did, because he had that.
Yeah.
He knew that already, but it's a trap. I used to slap bass too much. I think I still do sometimes, depending on what mood I'm in. But
yeah, I'll go right down that rabbit hole too.
Playing real
tapping and shit.
Yeah, the peacocking.
Yeah, I remember I used to play circles, any passage, play it. I had no pocket, like the groove, and then people would have it. I'd be like, "Why are they so great?"
Yeah,
people would rather hear something simple done perfectly than me, recklessly. Like
you ever hear that
Knievel on the bass? It's like, is he gonna make it?
Yeah, if you don't land it, it's like when Tony Hawk is saying, like, I'm either gonna land this or I'm going out of here in a stretcher. There's no other option when he's like attempting that crazy 900 or whatever thing. But are you familiar with that Victor Wooten line where he says, this is just a musical philosophy, but never lose the groove to find the note. So oftentimes you're trying to play a lot of notes and nail all those, but if you lose the groove trying to find the note, then it's all worthless.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That could be with anything in life.
Yeah, I think so.
Some people, they're just like trying to throw everything at the wall, like that. Let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. That's good when you're young, and I don't mean age-wise, like when you're young in something or early in a pursuit. You throw everything at it and see what sticks, but you'll start to notice what sticks, and then maybe stop throwing everything. Otherwise, you're just going to be this person who's constantly throwing everything. And it's like, you go, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. This sticks. Maybe I should hone in on this and develop these things.
Yeah, what if you throw something that something had stuck already, but you threw something else and it unstuck it from the wall?
Off. You're just, great point.
Something that I disagreed with tonight, if you remember the line that the dude was saying, but he was quoting someone else and he said, magic works whether or not you believe in it.
I think the whole point of it
and
is
that's like taking the Neil deGrasse Tyson
to work.
Yeah, because they were talking about positive thinking and manifestation and all that, and that's Neil deGrasse Tyson's line on science. Science, it's real whether or not you believe in it. And then they just said that with magic, and I wanted to just pop my hand up and be like, wait a minute, that's a
good point.
That's not true, isn't it? It works sometimes if you believe in it nonstop.
Yeah, there's a lot that I get, like the idea of like perception dictates reality, or what did he call it? Thinking is
causal.
Yeah,
thoughts are causal.
Yeah,
or causative.
Causative thinking is causative, and there is something to that.
Yeah,
like having
true.
like a vision board, like the idea that pasting a picture of a Corvette on your wall is going to manifest a Corvette in your life, and those are the two steps, is completely fucking absurd. But the idea that having the intent of a Corvette in your sight every day will influence you in a way that you're going to keep your eyes on your goal.
Yeah.
If a Corvette's your goal. So suppose you don't have a photo of the Corvette, and it could be fucking anything, but I'm just going with Corvette here. So you don't have it, but you want it. You've said you want it, and you're like, "Yeah, I really want a Corvette." But it's easy to forget about because you're not anywhere near having one. You don't see them around. Whatever. You go out, and then maybe you're spending a lot of extra. Go, I got an extra $10. What the hell? I'm doing. And then eventually, over the course of a long time, you didn't really make a lot of micro adjustments in your life that were steering you towards the goal of Corvette ownership. But suppose you have it hanging up, and every day you leave the house or wherever you keep it. And you're like, all right, this is really, for some reason to me, maybe this hypothetical person's going through a midlife crisis and they really need this Corvette. But then you're thinking like, all right, well, I could pay the extra for this, or I could take this, I could leave early or whatever. But how does this affect what I'm really thinking of, which is being able to afford this car? And so having like a vision board thing, I think to people, you're like putting your mind in the set, like, all right, these are the kinds of, this is what motivates your decision-making process. Yeah. And then you will eventually get to it. And it could be like this role I want, or I want to lose weight. That's like a one for a lot of people. So if you have a thing where you're like, all right, my goal is to be able to fit into this shirt. I mean, that would be great. It would be to me, that would be magic, like magical thinking, or perception dictates reality, whatever. Is you have a shirt or a dress or a pants or whatever you want to fit into, and you can't. So every morning, if you put it on, you're gonna be like, ah, damn. All right, well, I'm probably not gonna eat cookies today, and I don't think you should really. It could also cause like an eating disorder, disclaimer. But
yeah,
in a healthy
the other way,
you could think like, all right, I am trying to lose some weight for these reasons, whatever they are. I don't really care if they're superficial or health, And if you want to just, maybe you got a big shirt and you want to be like, I want to be fat enough to be in this shirt. Because fat people look like they're happy. Just fucking then go out and just quit eating salads and shit. Same thing. But you're like doing a ritual that's gonna reinforce your behavior to achieve your will or intent.
That's 100% it. And do you know that Maria Bamford joke where she's doing the vision board thing and she puts a toaster oven, or no, it's a microwave on her vision board, and her older successful sister is like, what is that, a microwave? I'll buy you a fucking microwave. And then she's like, manifest it.
See?
Just by putting it on there.
Yeah, sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah. And
just to say you want, I have trouble with that in life, is to say I want something. Just from how I was raised, I think. It's like all psychology. Like, what'd your parents do? And it's like, well, they didn't know. But it's just like, I'm from a really squeaky wheel gets replaced world. And that's not the way the world actually works, especially out in Los Angeles.
Oh, no, not at all.
And so I've like very recently been like, all right, you have to tell people that like putting your head down and just doing hard work, it's great to build talent and skill and all that shit. But at a certain point, you do have to squeak.
Yeah. And you have to ask for help, and you have to let it be known what you're up to, because everyone is so busy that they don't have time to even think about what you're up to.
Why should they? I mean, it's easy to like take that shit personal and get in the loop of like, no one fucking cares. It's like they all hate me. No, that's a very narcissistic thought. They all hate me. They don't think of you
at all.
That's like my stock now. Someone goes, it doesn't happen a lot, but once in a while, I'll get, you think you're better than me? I go, no. You think I'm better than you. I don't think of you. It's just like, I don't mean to say that in a mean way. It's just like, that's usually what it is. If you're looking at someone, you're like, oh, that person thinks they're better than me. I guarantee you, it's not the case. They're probably not thinking of you.
Yeah, at all.
Just as much in their
it's
head.
A release. It's a release to actually grasp that and realize that no one is thinking about what you do. So you could change your whole... When you're in that place where you're not a giant career person yet and no one's like looking at you, you could change what it is you do. You could be a poet the next day. You could be a dancer or something. No one's going to be like, I thought you did other thing. You can change it. Yeah. So many people I know, and especially in comedy, that are like, they don't want to do serious music stuff because they're afraid they're a comic and they'll get laughed at for being a serious.
Yeah, I felt that way.
Yeah, but
music. Like,
truth is, no one's looking. No one's looking if you change from a serious thing to a joke thing or vice versa.
Yeah.
John Mayer actually probably does exactly what he wants now, because remember he was trying to do stand-up and
that's, I guess, initially what he wanted to do before music.
Really?
That could have been someone extrapolating bullshit.
But he does shows with Dave Chappelle now where he does a guitar thing and then Dave Chappelle does a stand-up set, and then they both go on and do Q&A or something, and
it's probably the most rewarding work he's done in his career at some point. I mean, I bet he loves playing with the Dead. I mean, that's probably like a young guitar. Not for me. I'm not a fan. But
have you tried? Because I haven't even tried yet. I think I'm going to like it, but I don't know.
I used to just shit on him, like really, like just based on people I respected shitting on him, like the worst way to form an opinion. And then, well, maybe not the worst, but close to. Then someone's like, nah, man, it's not all just hippies noodling in a field. You check out the albums, check out American Beauty. And it wasn't bad, but I was just like, it doesn't grab me.
Do you think it hasn't stood the test of time?
As their logo looks, I'll tell you that.
Do you think it must have sounded cool in when are they from, the 70s?
Well, I think to someone it sounds amazing still, because people really do love them, and their musicianship's there. I just don't care.
I haven't even tried it yet, but it seems like something that would be right up my alley. But for whatever reason, just like,
it's not as exciting as it looks.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the problem. That's where it is for me. But I bet at the time, it was probably like, holy shit, this is far out.
Yeah, because
after a while, Pink Floyd totally goes off the deep end, and then shit, after that, everyone's done. And you're just like, all right, well, now this seems mundane.
Were you always into your own, were you always getting, when did you start playing music?
I got a guitar when I was like 10.
Oh, so you were always into, like, not just the stuff that was on the radio? When did you start going down your own path and like finding the deeper cuts? Because you know a lot of deeper cuts that
I think they're like deep enough where people who really know deep cuts want to talk to me, and then I disappoint them. And then people who are into the mainstream stuff just think I'm obnoxious. So I'm in like this real like brackish water.
You don't get to hang out with either.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to hang out with both, but neither of them really want to survive in like the shitty like mudlark thing I've created for myself.
Yeah. It's fun to, I was talking about this with Ingerbretson, like how you develop these, or at least me and him did, you develop these tastes as, 10 years old and a teenager, and then you go off to college or you're just in your 20s, and then you learn to hate that stuff, and you learn to abandon whether you like Incubus or 311 or that like stuff from the 90s that is like, oh, this is the best, and then later on you learn it's like, no, that's actually not. It's not cool to like that. And then you break past that thinking, wait a minute, thinking that a thing is cool is stupid. Like, and the truth is you'd still listen to it in secret, but now it's like you can own it the same way people own, like, yeah, I like bad pop songs. I like classical. I like ASMR. Yeah, it's a waveform. Let me listen to the waveform. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I didn't like, in the 90s, I didn't like what was popular. I was an obnoxious prog head at that point. You could go, I don't know how far you'd have to go back or how recent you'd have to go back before I wouldn't want to stuff myself into a locker. I mean, it's like me in my 20s, I would want to beat up. It wasn't like a terrible, but I just like, you need to reel it back a little bit. Like, just fucking relax.
It must have been intolerable because I liked stuff growing up. I loved Warped Tour. I loved those types of bands.
I hated Blink-182. I still don't enjoy that music, but I was like,
I don't anymore.
That was. I was like, this is it. Like, this is. To me, I was like, this is just glorifying being a jackass. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I love to show jackass. So who the fuck did I know?
That's different. That's an art.
Yeah,
that's taking.
They really are the best at. I'm excited if they're going to make another one of those movies, I guess.
Are they? That's crazy.
I heard that, and I'm like, thank God.
That's what SNL was, right? Like, SNL was like this group of crazy, like, people on, I don't know if they're on drugs right now. Not SNL, but the Jackass guys. But it's that feeling of it.
Well,
that
they were on drugs
the
when that
group
was
of misfits, yeah.
Yeah. They were just, it was shocking in a way. People, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. What is that now? You know what? I think just, like, actually just being nice for the sake of being nice, like without having a hidden camera waiting for you to get 1 million views on it, that might be shocking now. But who's it going to shock? Because you're not going to be able to dangle it in front of everyone's face.
There's still people at that cutting edge. I think it's just maybe you and I don't care about that cutting edge of shock, like those World Star videos, or when people go to like bad neighborhoods, like really white kids, and say the N-word, or like try to provoke people and then get hit and then run away, like just that pure obnoxious type of thing. I never find it until
that might be that whole like the alt-right thinking they're the new punk thing. Because it's like you have a value system from when we were growing up that was oppressive and kind of like outdated, like this like idea of the nuclear family, traditional marriage. How you're supposed to politely behave in society, any of that shit. Where it's like something like Marilyn Manson was like an affront to that. It's like, nah, you can be like kind of homoerotic and fucking freaky and fun and like, the devil. And it's all, like, I mean, like even Satanism, like Levian Satanism has nothing to do with actually worshiping the devil as an entity. They just like the devil because it really upsets the church. And, they just use the church's invention to fucking like rib them. It's like, all right, well, this is like the anti-square.
Yeah.
And so it's like stuff like that. But then eventually culture did change enough. I don't know if it's because of that or what, where it started to move more towards like, yeah, we're not going to be backwards. It's like a condescending way to say it, but we're not going to be so traditional and caught up in these sort of outdated, non-helpful concepts of how we should live. And then somewhere, you got the traditionalists, the old guard Republicans who just want to get back to the way it was. And then you got some of these young, like, the 4chan, Keck, alt-right kids who, like, I think a lot of them just think they're like...
What's Keck?
It's like this... That's kind of what they're talking about with, like, the alt-right somehow utilizing, like, magic.
That actually, I didn't know what he was talking about there. To clarify to listeners...
Agreed... what he said, I think, has happened.
Oh, I didn't disagree. I just didn't know about it. But someone had brought up like the alt-right being more into the occult and metaphysic stuff than the left, which I hadn't thought of it one way or another. But I mean, you could look at it more like the left is more into materialist science and what the actual people are saying, and then the alt-right is all about, you know, conspiracy and alternative history and that kind of thing. Maybe that's what he was getting into.
Well, there
but
also
what's
is
Keck
like,
again?
I don't know Keck exactly. The non-appropriated version of it's like an entity, kind of, I think, like chaos, maybe in a way. And then so this group, a fraction of conservative America now, usually younger kids, mostly working on the internet, a lot of trolls, like Pepe shit.
Gotcha.
They've like kind of create a mythology of it. It was like Keck, and I think in a way it's tongue in cheek, but they also believe it, which in a way a lot of occult things are. It's like you don't want to be written off as some woo woo hippie, so you're like, it's funny, but you're like, but you know, I think it's real. And then it's like Keck, the Kingdom of Keck or something. It's just this like.
What is Keck, though? Is it a person? Or
yeah, it's like a god.
It's an acronym?
In a way, or an entity. Like a deity in a way.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like, it's a frog-shaped god from like ancient something.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that's why
And
they
then
stole the Pepe cartoon.
yeah, it's representative of some new times of.
It's also
thing.
a World of Warcraft thing. I don't know, but it's
Do you read the
Keck,
news and
traditionally is the Egyptian god of darkness, and it is in the shape of a frog.
Do you follow news still heavily, or just kind of you pick it up as you go along?
I just see what's on the fucking CNN when I'm walking in the elevator at work, and then I go. Ugh.
Did you used to watch news?
No,
No.
I don't know. I always say like I'm informed. No, I don't know if I really am, but it's just like the same thing with like, what do I got no Bogdanovich? Like, it's, you know what I mean? If you get the concepts of how something works, what's with all the names and the dates and shit all the time? I think it is good to be able to be a student of that stuff. But I was always interested in like, it's like school was weird because you're like, all right, you have to learn all these facts and things. This is what you're supposed to learn. I'm like, all right, so we got to read and we got to cite these people. Well, who the fuck are they citing? Why do they get to be the ones that just come up with it?
Yeah.
Like, you're teaching everyone that, like, you cannot come up with it. This person came up with it.
Well, school was designed to make factory workers.
Yeah.
Like, if you go look at the history of public schools, it's not really to educate, it's to make. Yeah, it's to make.
I know I sound like an anti-vaxxer or something right now, but it really.
But at the time, it was good, though. At the time, it was good to have factory workers. It's what we needed. But now we don't need factory workers, so we're wasting kids' time by forcing them to memorize stuff they could just look up on their phone. Even arithmetic, they don't need to know how to really. Like basic arithmetic, but they don't need to know advanced calculus unless they're going down that path.
That's true.
I mean, like, you could still use it. You can still use all sorts of things, but just the fact that we're keeping them all bottled up and then they go shoot people. I know a lot of them don't shoot people, but
kids go. A lot of people's discontents are just not. No one wants to take the time to find out how everyone's gonna function to the best of their abilities. People's parents don't, like my parents didn't even sit down and figure that out. They were too busy trying to just keep us alive, I think.
How many siblings?
Just me and my brother. And it's like, you know, but like no one was like, what do you want to do? We should figure out what you should do with your future. It was just like, hey, you're 18, get out. And like, well, I guess I go to college now. And they're like, yeah, my mom thought you had to have the money like in an envelope.
Oh, that's
like you're
funny.
going to the movies. And she was like, I think you should just join the Air Force. I was like, I hate the military and all that. But I just shaved my head and just joined the Air Force. And
How long were you in the Air Force?
3 years. I got
Damn, I didn't know that. Did I know that?
No, it's not like a cornerstone of my personality. I think for some people it was like, you know, especially people who like did something. I was like soldering a radar in Utah for the most of it. So like when they're like, all the vets stand up at the ball game. I'm like, yeah, but I'm technically a vet, but I ain't fucking standing next to the guy with half a leg over there. Got blowed up and shit.
My friend Eric Krug had a joke about it forever ago. He's a comic, and he like would be like, "What was it like in Iraq?" He's like, "I don't know. I made coffee." And that's what he like mostly did.
Yeah, all my friends that even went there were like, "Dude, we just mostly sat around."
That's what that movie Jarhead with Jamie Foxx is kind of about. Yeah, it's like it's just a boring movie, and then at the end you're like, "Oh, I get it. That's what it's trying to say."
Yeah, and you still get fucked up from it. Like, those guys still got... Like, there's shit about just being in the military, like, going through boot camp. That's not like, fuck you. I'm not, like, PTSD'd out or, you know, I'm not some Jacob's Ladder level harrowed war vet. But it's like even going from regular civilization or society into like a highly organized group of people who are willing, through whatever indoctrination it is of boot camp, to like put a goal ahead of their ego or personal needs at an extreme level. And then they're like, now get back out there in the selfish world. That's why that's part of why I didn't finish college, because I was just like, I couldn't deal with 17-year-olds who went straight from high school. And I was this weird 21-year-old man. Like, I've been paying my own fucking phone bill since my first phone. You know, like, I was just like, I didn't understand where the hell they were coming from or how to talk to them. And they were like, thought I was intense or insane.
Isn't that weird that like a 37-year-old and a 34-year-old, that's like almost, it's no difference age, but a 21-year-old with 18-year-olds right in college, yeah, you're alien.
Yeah, it was just the age difference would be enough, and then like the amount of like,
and they look so tiny now
for like a crew, like troops and shit. At, you know, not all the time, but like, you need to lead this.
What was your rank?
I was just a senior airman. I got promoted on like my last day. So
senior airman. I didn't even know that was a title.
It's not even supervisory, really. It's like they're starting to. It's like there's airman basic. I don't know. It's like airman basic, airman first class, senior airman. So I had like 3 stripes on my last day, but for most of the time I had 2 or whatever. Just nobody.
Why'd you leave?
I hated it.
Did you like plot your escape the first year? You're like,
I tried to get out on No, the first year I was just like, all right, man, I just gotta get through this shit. And then like I was in school for a long time to go through a year of school. I mean, so I feel like I got an education in electronics. I was going to school for 8 hours a day on one subject for like a year. I mean, that's like, you know, I just didn't have to learn fucking math or philosophy or anything.
So are you good at that stuff, like with wiring circuit boards and capacitors and understanding flow of charge and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to brush up. Like,
I was always terrible at
electronics.
Like looking at circuit charts, like I would always do terrible on those exams. Like it just wouldn't make sense to me. I'm wondering if I go back, if it would make sense to current me's brain if it was too.
Engineering?
I was, and then I switched to advertising. I wanted to be. It was still a shadow career. Like I didn't really want to be in advertising, but it was. I saw it as it could parlay into a show business thing. Like it would. It's got the business side, but it's also creative, and you could be creative and then branch over into something that wasn't commercials. Because commercials, even if it's good, it's the worst part of an entertainment experience. Even your favorite commercial is still a commercial.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought like at least it would have a business side to it, which I did learn a lot. I still think it was a good.
Yeah, well, you could use it for your own stuff too.
Yeah, I think I have.
I mean, like you clearly understand how to like, you know, create a thing.
The creative sequence was really good.
And all that. Yeah.
I went to UT, and the creative sequence for the advertising school, they like make you write 1,000. They make you do 1,000 thumbnails on an idea like in the span of a week, and it's like not 100, 1,000, and you have to actually write it out and draw it, and then they go through it and they're like writing big X's like nope, 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 and then maybe you get 2 that stand out. It's like, yeah, there's something in those
That's
2
great.
and it's to teach you
know how to do that kind of like bulk work.
Yeah,
especially in like, you know how many songs they auditioned for Thriller? It's like 300 and change. It's close to 400 songs.
Really? 300? Where's the rest of them?
They're probably just like, a lot of them sound the same. Or, you know what I mean? Like, who's to say how developed this was?
Horrible.
Well, for the album, right? Yeah, it's probably a shitty version. What's on that? 10 songs? 12?
If even that, yeah.
It's like a 5% return or something.
We had it. I think every home had it. And
yeah,
I just remember that big vinyl thing. I didn't know.
Time.
Yeah,
it's like that.
Even to this day,
Moon.
To this day, it's number 1. That's crazy.
Nothing's outsold because no one's buying music anymore.
That's true.
Like something like Lemonade or something would have outsold it if like everyone didn't just BitTorrent everything. And then you know, you could just stream shit. It's hard to say now. It's not the same. It's like, you know, like the way it's like the backwards of baseball. Like all those old records are more important though because they didn't have steroids or scientific sports medicine and all that.
Babe Ruth was in terrible shape.
Yeah, he's just a fat guy who could crank a baseball over a field. You know, that's all it took back then. And then I don't know what I was saying. Oh, but just like the amount, like they put that much shit in to get that much good out. And like, I'll talk to people in bands and stuff now, and like just the idea of them having to do that much work to get something that good out, they're like, that's bullshit, man. I'm like, all right, I don't,
These are the first 10 songs we thought about, and these are the 10 songs we're going to release.
Yeah, and then those are friends of mine who are like frustrated that no one cares. And I'm like, I don't mean to talk to you shitty. I'm like, but this is okay. This has promise, but I would like to see what would happen if you wrote 100 and picked the best 10.
Great isn't even enough today. If they were really great songs, that's not even enough in 2018, let alone 20.
I know.
Or I'm using let alone wrong. Let alone, you have to say, not in 2014, let alone 2018.
Yeah.
Like, think of how crazy even 2014 was, and we're 4 years of more acceleration after. Terrence McKenna would describe it as that basketball history is the basketball dropping and then bounces once and then bounces a little quicker, then again, then again, and then it's like now we're at that point where it's like it's almost touching the floor. Yeah, like 2020 is going to be unrecognizable from now. I don't know how.
I wanted to talk about this. Do we have a time limit? Is it
no time limit?
All right, maybe let's.
I mean, if we wrapped up now, we'd have a good episode. But let's keep going a little bit.
TV resolution. I was watching that video you sent me of Jimi Hendrix playing with the Isley Brothers in 1955. It looks terrible.
Yeah,
like you could tell it's Jimi Hendrix and the Isley Brothers, but you're like, this is some pretty shitty looking video. And then not even in a lifetime. Like, my mom was born 2 years after that was shot, and she's 61 or whatever. It's that video compared to like a new television, like a 4K or I think 4K is like shit now.
Is it?
Maybe.
What are we at now? 8K.
It's probably still pretty cool, but I think there's more Ks. And just in that short period of time, and it's like you said with the basketball, it's exponential. So what the fuck is it gonna look like? And you ever seen 90s footage?
Oh yeah,
it looks like shit, man. But I don't remember looking at TV when I was a kid going, God, this looks like shit.
No, it looked real.
TV
it was real life.
Yeah, I was like, this looks as good as fucking outside. And now I look at them, I'm like, I don't know how we sat through so much Family Matters and everything because they were good shows, but they didn't. The video picture was terrible. Mm-hmm. Video games look terrible. All those look terrible. Now this shit, it looks amazing. And I mean, like realistic, like some of that VR, like we're talking about very earlier in this podcast. You're like, even in the 3 years I was writing on that thing, from the first year of looking at that Oculus Rift, it just looked like you were watching like a PlayStation 3 through a screen door. Yeah, like, it's pretty cool, and I could see this being like. And then that Vive came out, and it was like, Jesus Christ. So how are we going to be able to distinguish anything? Like you're saying with the video.
Not. We're so not.
Technology.
And then the question arises, which Elon Musk, gets into, the odds of us
Has
not
that already
being
happened? Yeah, I swear to God, I look at the mountains sometimes. I'll just be staring out my window at work or something or driving. And this might be indicative of like a mental state or just something I'm going through. But I'm like, I'm always waiting for it to blink out and then come back on real quick.
Oh, like render?
Yeah, just like when your screen does that thing where it's just a line for a second and flashes back on. Like, and not in a way where like, well, wouldn't that be wild? Like, it's in my head, it's like I'm expecting it, which doesn't mean that's real or all. But I used to be one of those people who, if someone said we were in a simulation, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You can tell me about the lizard people next. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah, tell me about the lizard people.
And it better be lizard people, because if it's humans that are this fucked up, I'm really sad about that. I don't want to know that I share the fucking DNA with something capable of that much evil.
The Anunnaki. Yeah. I think that's it, right? That's the DNA we're supposed to have. I know there's the Greys, there's the reptilians, and there's...
The Anunnaki were like with the Mesopotamians. They're like demons, kind of.
Yeah.
The spacemen from Nibiru, man, the 12th planet.
I tried I'm still giving it a shot. I've only watched one episode of Ancient Aliens, and the first episode is called The Evidence, and they're showing like old bird statues, and they're like, you might think it's a bird, but actually it was a plane based on how the fin is. And I'm like, And they go through a lot of different toys, and some of them very much do look like spaceships, but the fact that they're including all of them, I think, hurts their argument. Because it's like, if you're calling every one of them a spaceship, people are going to... Yeah,
they're just so like desperate to have or anxious to have their thing confirmed.
Yeah,
also,
it's only in the narrative.
So
it's fun
it's
to
already
watch, though.
Flawed. Yeah, it's good television.
Yeah.
Like, that's any reality thing. Nothing on TV is real. Nothing. I know it sounds like some jaded, cynical shit, but like, I've been in it and around it enough where I'm like, I know it seems real and there's a kernel of truth to it. That's why they picked up the show. But look at the credits to like a reality TV show. What the fuck is a storyline editor?
Yeah, it's a lot of names.
I mean, it's essentially a writer. They're just they're creating a reality. And plus, whose reality is like reality television? Like, if it was a show that was really like life, you'd just be someone who comes home tired and then heats up something. Well, like, fucking ridiculousness is on in the background, and they just kind of passively engage in this shit.
We're in it. That's the VR of now.
Yeah,
We're living a regular life with all the mundaneness and all the excitement and none of the super real stakes that are in Game of Thrones. Like, our heads aren't going to be cut off. Probably not. But that'd be interesting if our heads ended up cutting off. But
I could. It's happened before.
Yeah.
Someone's going to have to get their head cut off.
Oh, yeah. So there's one part of this podcast where I do it every single episode at a different point. I don't say when it's going to be, but we do 10 seconds of silence. It's not a meditation or anything like that. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed, anything. It's just a 10-second silence gimmick, because that's how I do it here. And are you ready?
Gimmicks are important. Gimmicks are ritual.
All right. Here we go. Now. Oh, yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah. It's the best part.
I like
the best
that.
part of the episode is the not talking part.
It was really silent, too.
Yeah,
We
the
got
talking's good,
headphones on.
though.
Yeah, I enjoy talking. I like talking to you.
I like talking to you, too.
Yeah, we should do it more. Just not even on microphones, maybe.
Yeah, that's how actually we first got to know each other, I think. We first met at a show in West Side Comedy Theater. Shane Moss was there, and then we all went out to drinks
That's
afterwards.
right.
I think it was you, me, Shane, and Mark Agee, who's another
I was just thinking of
stand-up.
this the other night. I was just telling my friend Pam at the Philosophical Research Society. I was telling Pam Walt. I was like, you know Ramin Nazer? And she's like, no. I was like, really? You guys would get along? I mean, he'd like this place.
You went in a little Dunkin' there. Yeah, you guys should get along.
Oh, yeah, you'd love him. And then she's like, how do you know him? I was like, I feel like I just always did. It's like, not really. And then I had to think a long time. I was like, oh, yeah, we all got drinks at that,
Yeah.
like some kind of bar I would never expect to find any of us in.
That was the start, and then I think after a show at Little Joy,
Yeah.
like we were just talking
We
outside.
stood in the
We just
street
had like
talking about
random
McKenna for like 2
McKenna,
hours.
Bill Burr, just some random podcasts that we listened to, and I don't think I knew anyone at that time that was into that stuff. So just a lot of like random crossovers.
Oh, yeah.
Dudes into the same shit.
Yeah.
What is it? What is making up this world? Do you get into self-help books a lot?
No, I bought one once when I was real depressed. It turns out I just woke up too early. I had to take my wife to the airport at like 5 a.m. And I can't. I'm like really bad at being. If I'm up before the sun, I feel like my whole life is a disaster that's currently unraveling, and I've made every wrong choice, which I know. And now I'm good at recognizing that. I'm like, you're fine. Like, especially in the grand scheme of things, you shouldn't feel bad ever.
It's an anxiety or what?
Yeah, it's like a severe. I think I just have severe anxiety, and or I don't know severe, because I'm sure someone who's really got it would be like, you don't know the half of it.
You project calmness, but there might be turmoil going on inside.
Yeah, I think that I've been told it's a trait of cancers. I'm starting to come around on astrology, but
Aren't we
very
all?
begrudgingly.
Isn't that crazy? Aren't
It's
we all?
basically just admitting
You want to hear
that
the
you're
best
wrong.
argument for it that I've seen, which it isn't even an argument. It's more like a kind of cool coincidence that I think could be something. But, you know, John Coltrane's, God damn it, did I already say this on a podcast? Whatever. Every single podcast,
So
I've already
it's-
said it 3
all
times.
your work is,
Yeah.
there's a repetition, a theme. People like to hear, they like to come back to things. I love
Yeah.
to hear my grandfather tell his stories, the same ones.
Yeah.
They're good. Well, the good ones. He doesn't tell. There are people who tell the same bad stories, and you're like, dude, you got to give a better story. But I don't like that attitude of people who are like, I hate hearing. I'm like, that's what being friends with someone is.
Yeah,
I was
hearing the
telling
same
Lisa
story
Curry that the
again,
other
seeing
day.
how they change
She's
it
like,
up.
I feel like I've told you a story before. I was like, yeah, but we're on a 4-hour drive to a gig. Like, this is it. This is friendship. It's hearing the same story told a little bit differently in a new context on a different car ride. And you just like hearing that person's voice and remembering the details you forgot. Because, you know, at a certain point, you're like, yeah, I fucking want to know about someone else's life instead of just mine before I'm done doing whatever this is.
Exactly.
So, anyway, sorry. Talk about John Coltrane.
Oh yeah, John Coltrane's. He made that wheel with like the majors on the outside and the minors on the inside, and it's a wheel, and it's got the circle of fifths, and he's making all those connections of what complement each other.
I understood. No idea.
But it's real though. It's like regardless of whether we understand it, we know because when we go look at it.
The thing about the circle of fifths is it works whether or not you believe it.
Exactly, and it's the same as color. Like the way that color relates to itself is the same that
like
sound.
The color wheel.
Yeah.
So man, we're gonna.
And also the zodiac matches up with it. Like it matches up the same as the John Coltrane wheel and the color thing, and it's got the 12. And I don't think zodiac or astrology is real in the sense that you read the horoscope and it tells you what's going to happen. But I think there's something.
Those are so like.
Yeah, there's something to that configuration of celestial bodies doing something to our, like, you ever just feel different one day and it's like, I don't know why I feel bad today, but I just do. It's like I feel there's so much.
A calendar year.
Yeah.
I feel there's something to how much time it takes to go around the sun. Even if you go to a place you've been before, it has some kind of, it changes how you have a feeling associated with it, right? Like if you went back to Austin right now, it would affect your headspace in a way.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of the visual and sense stimulus. But even like, so the planet moves back to where it was for you at a certain time.
Actually, it never does. It only does relative to the sun, but the way that we're moving...
So, yeah, we've never
been back to the same place ever. So time travel...
relative to the sun matters. It would be a real disaster, huh?
Time travel would be like essentially just geographical because...
Well, that's the way I view time. This is, now we're getting woo-woo. Let's do it.
Yeah, you just said time is a flat soda.
Yeah, well,
earlier. Actually, because he was referring to bubbles.
And made a joke about carbonation. Yeah, he goes, was consciousness, what is it? Could it be just like as simple as like carbonation and eventually the bubbles are just gone?
Yeah, which the bubbles are never gone. The bubbles have risen to the top and those air is, the air is gone elsewhere. They
rejoined their family.
Yeah, so we're just in a cup right now going through our work.
The other day, I was just talking to somebody. Once in a while, I'll say something like, who do you think you are? You got to write this on a tablet, you fucking dick. Go put on a robe, grow a beard, live in the woods, fucking die of hemlock. Settle down. But it was, I was like, maybe it was about time. I was like, well, maybe once you get out of the river being life, you're allowed to walk the banks.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know, and then maybe if you are in the river long enough, you get to be in the ocean.
Ooh.
And I really hope that's what happens, is that you're just free from the illusion of a linear time. And then eventually, I don't know how this would play out, and I guess I'm not that concerned with it. I mean, it's interesting to me, but I'm not going to make it a dogma or live and die by a hypothesis. It's the idea that time would be geographic, so at some point, an entity or someone, maybe there is a higher entity, maybe that's what fucking UFOs are. I mean, that's my guess on it, is... Instead of saying, like, meet me at the intersection of Alvarado and Sunset, you'd say, meet me at Alvarado on Sunset at 7:22, January 5th, 1975.
Yeah, it's the fourth axis of geometry, of space.
Yeah. Like the W axis or whatever. I don't know, And, you would just enter, and there could be more as the higher dimensional... shit. So, I mean, I don't, maybe like seeing a UFO or fucking Bigfoot or any of that unexplained phenomenon is just some higher dimensional thing taking a shortcut through our bullshit.
Could be. Why not?
Yeah, that's why it moves in a way you don't understand, because it's in a whole other set of physics, and then it's there and then it's not, and you don't know how to explain it.
And it's not even in a whole other set of physics. It's the same set. Yeah. We just don't know shit yet. And
they just got more physics than we do.
Like people, Michio Kaku, the Japanese guy that's in all the astronomy things with the long hair, and
Fun deGrasse Tyson.
The what?
Fun deGrasse Tyson.
Oh yeah,
It was like fun Neil deGrasse.
More
not
fun.
that Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't fun, but he does seem like he could also bring down a fun time at a party.
by saying that the star decorations aren't accurate or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, like I know science, man. But sometimes I just want to be high and think about weird shit.
But even Michio Kaku has said before that specifically, there's nothing in Harry Potter that breaks the laws of physics. Everything in that story is physically possible. We just don't understand yet. And I think it's in his new book where he just like outlines
magic
everything.
and science together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I view that woo-woo stuff.
What is woo-woo?
I think it's just hippy dippy, new word for like
Oh, I know what it
people
is.
saging and shit. Oh, I know
what it is.
Coined it.
Yeah,
I don't
but is
know.
the coin like I know it's an onomatopoeia. Is it referring to the sound that a UFO makes or like that what magic wand makes? What is the sound that goes woo woo woo? Is it when you're casting a spell? What is that sound that they're making fun of?
I'm new to it. I'm liking the term though, I think.
And no one likes it. Everyone it's like I like spirituality, I like crystals, but I'm not to sound woo woo. It's like, is there anyone that's like, I'm trying to sound woo woo right now?
Yeah.
Woo,
you know what? It's a weird thing. Maybe it's
woo.
harmful because then it makes you feel like, but there is a point where it's like sometimes the aesthetic of a thing. I don't even know why I'm going down this way with shit because I like aesthetics. But like the guy with the hat,
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
all right, we get it. You're magic. But also,
So,
it's
yeah.
like, so what? Maybe he.
I gotta clarify what you're referring to. In this occult lecture we went to tonight, it's an
there's a guy
interesting
who
mix
was
of people.
definitely supposed to be there.
Yeah, a lot of strange hats. There's one black person there.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
Carl
strange
Jung
hair,
lecture had some more. There's a,
interesting
Hal Kinane's
vests.
got a great bit about ghosts and white people. He's like, ghosts is white people shit because we're only people that have like enough. I'm fucking this up.
No, I know the bit. Yeah.
But it's basically white privilege is the fact that you're so comfortable you got time to be looking for ghosts. I mean, that's
Rogan has a similar one where it's like,
surmising.
you know what you don't find where you're looking for Bigfoot? Black people.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got other shit to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah, it's very first world. But yeah, the guy with the hat, like you talking about the guy with the kind of African looking, the white
Yeah.
guy with the African sort of.
yeah, that's like a brimless baseball
Sun Ra hat,
almost.
yeah.
yeah, and the earrings. He had a very Aleister Crowley vibe, and then he mentioned that he's in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Of course.
Or yes. So
My
he's
favorite
a
type of
Philemite.
question for those kinds of things is they just say a long thing and then they go, and I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. Like they don't ask a question, they just say a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff.
would
and
you
it's
agree
like,
with me?
Yeah,
That's
like
what
just
that
will you
one
just talk
usually
about the
is.
thing I believe in.
But that, I mean, so there's that guy where I'm like, ugh, I hope I'm not that. But I'm like, why? He's doing great for himself because that's what he's really into. And so he's got the whole pastiche shine. He looks like it. So anytime someone's into this shit he's into, they introduce themselves to him. Because if you're like, man, yeah, I'm into I want to get into Aleister Crowley and Thaleem and shit. But you don't really have the confidence yet to walk around looking like that. And then you see that guy, and you go, there he is.
Yeah.
He's like the white rabbit of whatever his own brand of shit is. And you're like, gotta follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's easy for me. Anything weird. Like, even when you think you're enlightened and you're not going to do it, I'm still looking, I'm like, look at this motherfucker. This is a weird. And like, so what?
I wonder what the
I got a
strangest
stupid
thing he
patch
could
on
tell
my
us
jacket.
is.
That he could?
Yeah, like what thing is he into?
They're probably eating a lot of cum. And I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way.
You mean in a sex magic way?
Yes.
Is that part of
Aleister
sex magic?
Crowley, some of it is. Aleister Crowley was like a heaping spoonfuls of cum.
I didn't know that.
That's
Tell me more.
part of his magic, man.
That's it? You just eat the cum and then
Well, it's
anything
like
happens?
part of a ritual. I think the idea is like, it seems like sacrifice. You get like the blood of a goat and a ram, all that shit in the Bible. Well, the magic people are like, man, we're not going to be killing so much shit here. But we do need some kind of energy. There's like an energy and an orgasm. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of black magic is like,
Oh yeah, if you
can
put it under a microscope,
visualize your
you'd see
will,
it.
and focus on your intent at the point of orgasm, there's an energy released, and now you've attached that energy to your will. And if you want to take it a step further, you can go on and lap it up, and consume the energy product, which is your semen or ejaculate. Menstrual blood is a powerful magical substance, apparently.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know
New
if you can
blood,
buy
but
it
not
on Etsy
specifically
or what, but
menstrual blood.
if you're a lady, you got a steady supply of it. Probably, maybe. It's a good chance. or you don't. That's fine. I read some article today just out of like interest. I was like, I was just telling a friend of mine. I was like, yeah, menstrual blood's like a big, powerful magic thing. You gotta bleed on a talisman or an amulet.
It's also
a lot of
dense,
magic is just getting jizz and menstrual blood onto an
and
amulet.
burying stuff and lighting things on fire.
But it's just the same thing as like putting on the shirt I was talking about to lose weight. You're making your goals, you're putting more into your goals. Yeah. You're like, all right, I ate my own cum, so I'm getting this fucking part. Like, if you eat a spoonful of your jizz and it's not particularly something you like to do, for magical purposes, going into an audition, you're going to focus on your fucking lines, because now you got a bunch of cum in your belly that you weren't planning on really eating in your lifetime.
Yeah, you're drawing from reality. Now,
it's like anything could be. I mean, you put a mousetrap on your nutsack, and you're like, all right, if you forget your lines, you get. I know something that could also be a ritual.
Yeah, it's the most pragmatic thing in the end when you look at it. There's no when people say they don't believe in magic, they say I don't believe in this going to here like A to C without there being a B in the middle. But sometimes you maybe can because you're.
Yeah, well, you take any technological advancement back in time, that's magic.
Uh-huh.
I mean, magic is anything amazing that science hasn't caught up to, in my opinion of it.
That would suck if we went back in time with our phones and it was at 2% battery, and right when we went up to someone, it died on us, and there's nowhere to plug it in, and you can't prove that.
Oh, yeah. That would happen to me.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, I left this thing on the charger.
Or you show it to one person, and then it dies. You just have the one person that trusts you, but they also don't because they don't know what they saw.
At least you got something to be burned at the stake with.
Yeah. This is a weird time having these stupid rectangles in our hands. Not stupid because I like it, and I buy a case for it, and if it breaks, I replace it, and all that kind of thing. But
they're hurtful too.
Yeah, we're not in the fully immersive VR world yet, which is really cool, and we're not in the real 70s smoking cigarettes everywhere, and there's just real life and the telephone and TV. We're in this in between right now where we're stuck staring at it.
Yeah, I've been taking more solace in just not knowing things, because I was really excited because growing up the internet was coming out, but we didn't have a computer at my house, and so when I was old, I think I got my first computer, I was probably like in my 20s, and I had like girlfriends who would have one, so I would have like access to the internet, and I would just be like, they'd be like, you were on the internet so much, like what do you, like most people would think I was fucking trying to cheat on them, like I think that's what everyone was using it for back in the AIM days. I'm trying to cyber fuck someone in Omaha.
ASL.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So I used to tweet that every once in a while just to find out who was old, and then like whoever laughed at that, like, yeah, you were born in the 80s. But I was just like, I'm just finally reading. I type in a question. I was like, how do spiders know to make a web? Yeah. I saw a video of a spider making a web. And I mean, this is like something maybe a fifth grader would know. I don't feel like I'm a genius.
It just knows, right? But it's just like, in its nature. Like the way that.
Why the fuck does he know to? Because it looks hard. I couldn't figure out how the spider was doing it. They were zoomed all the way in.
We think that because we suck. Like, not. We suck at first. We're like the most sucky babies. We need a lot of care. We're like the most fetal. We're not done yet. We need to be taught
we have
how
a
to
hard
walk.
Learning curve.
Cats come out of the womb like hunting stuff. They just know. They're just already a thing. Or like you see a baby elephant. It's like full elephant already. It's walking around.
It's like animals like that are exist in the wild.
Spider eats its
mom. When they wake up, they're all the way. They don't have that groggy thing like cats. Like when a cat's awake, it's just as awake as it's going to be. There's not that in between coming out of REM sleep thing. Yeah. It's just a survival thing. Like if you're a groggy cat, you're lunch at some point.
Yeah, we have more, or even people with glasses. If you need glasses, you would have been picked off hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, that's our big deal. We can adapt.
Yeah, that's and we're nice.
We're not the best animal.
We're nice to our disabled, or we're getting nicer to our disabled as time goes on. But there's no other animal that's building ramps for its disabled.
Yeah, I people had a friend once who said he didn't say it as nicely because you never see a mentally handicapped wolf. I was like, it was a strange argument about when they executed that. I don't know, man. They changed
the lion?
That guy in Texas who was developmentally disabled. I feel like I don't want to go on like be one of these anti-PC rant assholes.
Oh, but what's
like,
the thing? You don't have to attach yourself to it.
Retarded is because that used to be the official term. That's changed like I feel like 4 times in my life. And
yeah, there's
like,
a Stanhope
this is
bit
how
about
old people end up be considered bigots, because it's at a certain point you're just working and you forget to learn all the new words.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, my mom works with people, so she says developmentally disabled. I imagine her job told her she has to know the most current one. So developmentally disabled guy in Texas is executed for murder, or someone died and he did it. I don't know what the hell you call it legally when the person doesn't really have a full mind for that. And I was telling my friend, "Can you believe this? I mean, George Bush, he was the governor and he executed this guy." And my friend, who's very liberal in every other way, he's like, "Yeah, fuck that guy." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "I mean, without society saying, let's take care of this guy whose brain's all not fully working, he'd be dead." He goes, "But then he just went and killed someone. You don't see any mentally handicapped wolves running around." And I was like, that's a very brutal assertion.
But we all also need society, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think he was right. It was just it was a dumb tangent to take when you mentioned that we're the only.
There's a Stanhope bit about how moron used to be the word for retarded.
Yeah, now you're allowed to say it.
Yeah.
And
then
at a certain point, I feel like retarded just could come back, because there's an old Marin bit where he's like, they're not using it.
Marin's like kind of an underrated stand-up, isn't he?
His early stuff's good, yeah.
Yeah, because he's...
I'm not to say his later stuff's bad, but like people just associate him
a person
like
with one person.
The kind of long-form, brooding, I don't want to say self-obsessed, sounds so condescending, but like he deals with his
he is
self,
though, right?
Yeah, self-analytical.
He's self-obsessed, and he knows
he
it.
is fucking.
And he's like his dad is self-obsessed. Like,
but he used to have good socio-political commentary.
Did he?
His first album, I think, really, and then it becomes
a different
more
time,
psychological. He's also this is young comedian special on HBO. It's one of those times where it's like, oh man, you were digging Bill Hicks a bit.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone was at the time.
Do you ever go back and watch? They've just made them recently available, but those old Dean Martin roasts or the old Evening at the Improv, just watching old stand-ups, and so many of those names just don't exist anymore. Like a few, like Sarah Silverman made it through and Dana Gould made it through, but there's so many names that
fell all the way off.
Yeah, like the main person on that lineup just no one's heard of today. And the Dean Martin roast made me think about how back then they didn't worship youth culture. Like now it's all about youth culture. Like the roasts are going to have the young SNL guy is going to be on there. And back then no one under 40 was on those roasts. It was all like old people smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. There's a weird
Orson
time
Welles.
where like being a master was appreciated. Like someone who'd spent a long time, whether they actually did and were is debatable, I suppose. But just the idea of like you're an apprentice, a journeyman, and a master. And then it was like, oh, wow, these old masters. And now people hate. It's so weird that they like ageism. I get that a lot of the people doing fucked up shit are old because they got set in some bad ways or something. But like the idea that there's people who just hate anyone just that they're old. They must be shitty and stupid and they suck. And it's like, you're going to be old. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's like Logan's Run.
Yeah, like racism is terrible, but like I get where that shit started. Someone's like, he don't look like me. And then they just were fucking dumb from that thought on. Instead of like, he doesn't look like me. Well, whatever. And then, but ageism, it's like you hate a thing you're becoming every day. Like if you were born white and progressively grew darker throughout your life until you like went from born Irish, dead Kenyan, would you hate black people?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're the ageist,
because you're like, I'm not one now.
Do you experience ageism, or do you get frustrated with technology?
Me?
Like you said, but do you experience ageism?
I don't think. I imagine it will at some point.
But you were saying like specifically, like you're seeing it a lot. You're just talking about like online wise.
It's just in this industry. I mean, Jesus, if you're a woman in entertainment, what do you age out when you're 30? It seems
20 to 23.
Yeah, it's terrible for an actress or something. And then for a guy in comedy, in some ways, like there's people like Comedy Central doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't think I have gray hair.
Yeah,
and I'm not complaining. I don't necessarily. I'm like that's where I need to be. But it's like, I know that door is, if it's
I don't
not
think they know what they want
closed,
anymore
it's
either, though.
barely ajar. It might not be locked.
I'm finding that networks don't really know what they want right now either.
No,
Not that I know
I don't
what
think they ever have. That's a crazy LA thing is when people tell you what you're supposed to do, like you'll talk to other, and sometimes people who really haven't done anything. A friend's like, well, it's supposed to be like this. I talked to someone. I'm like, says who? There's rules. These people don't know what they want. They want you to come in and wow them. Mm-hmm. And it's not by doing what they've already seen based on their rule book. It's so weird. This city is the one thing that I think is really bizarre about it, without just trying to be like bitter or shitting on it, is it not
the
everyone,
one thing.
Well, like really, this one thing does, like, I think is completely nuts. It's largely a city of people all trying to look the same and stand out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's fucking true. And it's not that every single person looks the same here, but go to an audition. I've never been to an audition. I know what they're like. If you get called on an audition, you're going to go into a room full of your clone.
Yep.
And then you're all going to be trying to stand out. And then everyone just figures out what their type is, and then they just play into that.
Yeah.
And it's like, this people are like, I was like on a comedy show, like 5 white guys all look the same. It's like, yeah, I was on if you get the diversity levels up enough, you'll be like, yeah, I was on a comedy show where like fucking 10 black guys all look the same and 5 Chinese guys, and not in a racist way where it's like, no, they all made these decisions to be like, this is what's bookable. It's like, yeah, the white guys are all getting the same fucking haircut and they're buying the same pants. Everyone's like trying to figure out how to be like this thing that's like, this is what it is.
Yeah, it's a contradiction.
And then you're also like, how come no one's noticed me? And it's like, well, fuck, I don't know. And I don't have an answer for that. I mean, I could name 5 guys right now if we all went in to rob a bank together. They'd be like, I think they were twins, like whatever 5 twins is called.
The flaw is in asking, like, why wasn't I noticed, as opposed to, like, it's rare to be noticed. That's why it's notice. It's like the default should be not getting noticed. Even... who is it in Orange is the New Black, the crazy eyes person, Suzanne? Like, she didn't get anything for, I think, 15 years, just grinding away at acting, like, with 0, and then all of a sudden gets this.
She hung in there and got her brain. That's why she's amazing, too.
Imagine if she had the flu the day of that audition, just nothing.
Or didn't swallow enough cum. I'm not insinuating she'd swallow cum. I hope you listen to the full episode.
The full episode contains none of us say anything bad,
as we call it in the biz.
What if in the description it's like they talk about retards, occult, and
eating cum? Actresses eat cum to get auditions. I guess they could have their menstrual blood or whatever magic thing you could do with it. I don't know. I'm not in that bodily fluid level of magic.
How many years have you been here now?
6.
6 years. How have you changed? I'll give you my brief rundown of it, but the ways I've changed are I do yoga every day now. I meditate every day now. Things that didn't really occur to me to do other places, like a Lone Star beer has been replaced with these more hippy-dippy things. Much more self-help books. I was into Ram Dass and McKenna before I moved out here, but I definitely found that it amplifies your woo-woo-ness.
Yeah.
People are making jokes. I don't know if on the show at Alternate Universe last week, M. Dixon at the end was kind of talking about, is there any way to find someone who's not into crystals in this town? Because, like, if you're in AA, I can deal with that. If you're addicted to heroin, I can deal with that. But the crystals, there's just no going back. So she's very frustrated with that. I kind of like it.
Still baffle me.
I like it. I don't believe it one way or another. I like them.
Like snake oil would work for some people because once again,
placebo effect placebo effect is real,
That's
which speaks to it. Oh, I just did the thing that he did. Did you find that the guy was repeating himself a lot tonight?
Yes.
It's like
I was fixated
Martin Luther
on that.
King did what he had to do. He did what he had to do.
It wasn't quite as pronounced, but yeah, he would be like, and it is true that
it's a weird
it's a preacher thing.
Yeah.
Chris Rock does it.
Yeah. Andy Kindler does a joke about Chris Rock doing it. Andy Kindler has a joke
very
where
effective.
Yeah, he's like,
it's
I can be like,
preaching.
He's like, I can be like Chris Rock. I can say
truth.
things twice. I can say things twice.
Yeah.
Except that sounded more like Borat right now. But
that's how he's able to get people who otherwise might not have the attention span for his ideas to stay on board. I think that's an effective orating mechanism. But
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's because we're like magicians watching a magic show. Like, oh, he's going to use a fucking mirror.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now turn around for a second.
Yeah.
Something I liked about McKenna a lot is that he wouldn't do that, and he would always explain what he means. Like, he would say a concept, and it's like, and what I mean by that is the outward momentum to blah blah.
Yeah,
and
that's more of like a Dave Chappelle approach.
Yeah,
where you're going to take the time to break something down.
Yeah, and you keep breaking it down. You keep breaking it down to where you're still digesting the thing you just said, and it keeps you engaged. Whereas, like, I don't know.
And I think you can either say what you said twice in a row, or you can say what you said in a different way,
or just pause.
Yeah,
just like let it sit in the moment.
It did take me out a little bit, but I also could see how it's effective as a way of
to non-magicians like us. We're conversational magicians. There was a teacher I had, a social studies teacher, that sometimes would say words wrong, like economy and aminals, and he would pause after, like, just his style of speaking had a lot of pauses in it, and he'd be like, the main thing to remember about the economy is that it's in constant flux, and it would just be so funny, and he wouldn't even notice it.
Oh, God. I do that sometimes where I mumble mouth shit.
Do you correct yourself, or do you just let it sit there?
I just go through it.
Just
I don't
let it sit there.
anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't lose the groove. Don't lose the groove to find the note.
Fucking perfect. Yeah. It's stand-up especially. I mean, I'll know. I'll be like, I wish I didn't do that. If I butcher it enough where I feel like people wouldn't even know what I was saying, I'll backtrack or whatever. And sometimes I correct myself right away. I'm like, you should just let it ride. Is
stand-up your number one right now?
Yeah.
Number one thing you're working on?
Since I've been doing it, that's really just so stupid.
What, stand-up?
I don't think stand-up's stupid. I'm just like, it's... Like, you talk to, like, representation people or whatever, like, if you tell them, I haven't had to do this personally, so I don't.
Do you have representation?
No. God, no.
Do you look for it?
I don't know how to do anything, I think. Maybe I do.
It goes back to your not wanting to ask for stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, who do you ask?
Oh, just people. There's not one person. It's like you just kind of put it out.
Everyone?
Yeah, you put it out there that you want stuff.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is you feel like, well, if I ask for representation, people are like, that guy's a loser. He's not repped. You know,
but what's the alternative? The alternative
it's like if you're drowning. If you're like, man, I really want to tell the lifeguard I'm drowning, but I don't want him to think I'm some drowning loser.
Yeah, we are. We're drowning losers.
And you know what? That's really how people drown.
Yeah.
Like men especially, right? It's like, if you want to talk about toxic masculinity, men drown because they're embarrassed to have a man come hold them so they don't die.
And kiss them.
I mean, it's fucking how bad it is. And I'm not one of these like going on a rant about toxic masculinity type people either, but that's some real shit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're like,
that's funny.
No fucking way that big sexy man's going to jump in here in those shorts and put his fucking, gorgeous oiled sun-kissed arms around my bloated drowning body.
I believe it, but is that a real statistic that a lot of men drown out of? Because how do they ask them?
I imagine it happens to women too if they're embarrassed, but yeah, I mean, I'm Googling drowning of embarrassment right now.
I believe it. And also, it's tough to verify if they actually drown because you can't interview them later unless you have a channeler or something. Oh, that's another thing that I never thought I would. I never thought I would think that channeling is a real thing, but just because of YouTube and stuff, just seeing some people that do that, like even if it's a parlor trick, it's like, oh, that's a really impressive parlor trick, and the information you're telling me is so like high vibration and good that it's like it's just as good as it was channeled from a disembodied being, whether you're making it up or you don't know you're making it up and it's deep within some memory or something.
Yeah, that was just delivery system stuff.
Right? Yeah. Like law of attraction, I associate it, like Abraham Hicks, I associate it for the longest time as snake oil without giving it a try. And then you listen to those Abraham Hicks lectures and you're like, that's some really good advice right there. Even if that lady's making it up, it's still just as good. Like, I don't care if she's making it up or if it's a real group of non-physical entities like called Abraham.
You're asking then.
Yeah.
Like law of attraction. If you do the law of attraction by just thinking it in your mind and that's it, and it's not going to work. That's not going to work, I think. But like if the law of attraction you use, like you're fixating on this, so you're bringing it up a lot. Like suppose I use the law of attraction to get representation, I'd mention it more in conversation.
That's a weird one.
And
like
someone would be like, "You're not repped." I'd be like, "No." They'd be like, "Well, that's weird." I should introduce you so and so. Maybe something would happen.
Yeah, and it's.
But if you, I was to finish that point, not that it's necessary, but if you tell someone like, I just want to do stand up, they're like, oh great, I get 10% of stand up. Okay, well, fucking drink tickets while you're in town and 10% of $1,000 for a weekend headlining the middle of nowhere. Great.
Yeah, you'd have to really build a specific thing.
Yeah. They want to, I think people want to hear you're like, yeah, I want to do everything. I want to make, I think.
And it's a weird time.
What
like as a straight white
managers would want is like, if you're like, I have no integrity and want to make a lot of money, they'd be like, oh yeah, let's sign. And
you're a straight white male, and it's the worst time to be a straight white male, especially for that. In terms of getting, like, for example,
I've been told I can't book you because you're a straight white male.
Yeah, when I was booking,
going on, I'm on some kind of I'm being shut out, because what they're really saying, those people, is I can't book you because you're a straight white male who can't help me. Because the lineup will come out and be like, still mostly straight white guys. They all just book pretty decent shows.
Yeah. Do you have any desire to book a show?
I've done it before. No one came. It was lousy. So I was like, well, I'll just quit doing this.
That's part of it. Sometimes no one comes. Sometimes everyone comes.
I think the problem was I just didn't push through it.
Like, I think every time you've seen my show, it's been good. Maybe? Yeah. Or, I don't know. Oh, but when I was booking my show and I put you on it, it's a thing that it goes on in my head. It's like, well, he's taken up that straight white male spot. Whereas,
yeah, but it was, before it was happening to women and other minorities, or I don't know what the fuck about people of color. Yeah, it was happening to not straight white males, where they'd be like, all right, we got the woman. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, so it's whatever.
Yeah, you can't have two women on a show. People will be over noveltied.
Yeah, so I think at some point there will be an equilibrium where all Stamp's so saturated right now, and like who decides what's funny is a matter of taste, and sometimes it doesn't even matter if you're even from an objective level able. There are some people who are just like, this just is not good because they haven't figured it out yet. But someone's like, I like them. And you're like, all right, whatever, it's your fucking show. Mm-hmm. And then, so I know people who just get mad. You can't be a straight white guy. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. There's a time where like trying to be a black guy doing anything was like fucking damn near impossible. It hasn't gotten a shitload better. But somehow Richard Pryor became one of the most fucking respected and big comedians of all time. So yeah, I just look at it like, if that's how hard I have to work, then that's what I'll do. I'm not gonna, whatever. I'm enjoying doing it. I like making this shit. I'm more of a process killer.
What, over process killer?
Just like serial killer. I don't know why I compared to serial killers, but serial killers who kill because they want to do something with the body, or product killers. They don't really enjoy the killing. They just want to have the body. Process killers, I enjoy doing the stand up.
Yeah, journey over the destination.
Album, yeah, I wouldn't really care about having the album. It'd be writing it and recording it and doing it. And then by the time it was out, I'd just be like, well, this is someone else's now. This is for the cops to find.
Oh, that's a good mentality. I'm a little both. I like products. I like releasing a thing. I like having a thing to hold in my hand, which isn't that true with audio anymore.
And stuff. So packaging an album, I like.
Yeah, like
I still like vinyl. If I make a record, I'll want
holding
vinyl.
It.
So yeah, there's a little bit of that, I think. But the biggest, like, the main thing is making it. Like, I'll record a song still because I still dabble with music, but then I don't even finish mixing it half the time. I just do it as long as it has my interest, and I don't feel any impetus to finish it. So I'll just be like, I don't know. All right, I'm done.
Then it's work.
It's like playing in a sandbox to me, where it's like, or building Legos. It's like, all right, tear it all down.
Do you resent that, or you like that?
I like it.
You like it?
I think there's, from a certain angle of thinking, like, well, why don't you finish anything? Why don't you package it? Why don't you market it? That's a bad thing. I've made so much stuff and then never properly presented it.
Yeah, but isn't that a shame?
Maybe, but does mommy need to smell every poopy? It's like, maybe some of the
she
shit I made
deserves
just to be on a hard drive somewhere for me to find later and go, oh, it was fun.
That's not a bad way of looking at it. Like, the beating yourself up way is a bad way of looking at it, but not if it... what I'm trying to say is that I have that same problem. Like, I make more stuff than I release, and I'm constantly trying to figure out how I can tweak this to where I'm actually releasing it. Like, how do I force myself to mix that song to make
that's a different skill set too.
Yeah, like, finishing and shipping and then
ready to put something out.
And once you put it out, that's then you know it's done because then the world has seen it and you can't adjust it because then the world already knows that other version of it. Whereas if it sits on a hard drive somewhere, then it's like forever. Like, well, I can't add that. One day I'll fix that, and then it sits in your head and it drives you crazy. Whereas if you release it, it's done, and then it comes back to you like, oh yeah, I did make that. I forgot I made that.
I think it's good to have a thing that, like I do that with music now, where I just do whatever I want. And I don't finish things, and I enjoy making them. But comedy, now I'm more in a mindset like, all right, you've mired your life in this enough that you need to learn how to finish and market and extract some kind of resource out of this so you can continue to do it.
Yeah.
I have no aim to be insanely wealthy or famous. Like, I would like to be like a working class comedian.
Oh, really? I'd like to be. I don't care about fame anymore because it's changed and my delusions about it are gone.
It terrifies
I'd love
me.
to be rich, not like.
I would enjoy it immensely, but it's one of those things where, like, if that happens because of dedication to craft or something or hard work, then I'll be happy. But I mean, I make okay money now, and it's not okay. Like, if I told someone who did make good money, they'd laugh me out of this fucking room.
It's good for you, though.
Because I don't have a college degree, and I don't stand and wash dishes now, so I'm just like, this is fucking incredible. I have a savings account. I'm like, and I'm putting stuff in it.
Hell yeah.
I just feel guilty about it all the time.
That's so interesting, and it's just like handed down, right? It's that. It's the attitude.
I could say like that sponsor child thing. Like, based off of what I was living on before, I'm making double that now. So I could support someone having my same level of existence, which was pretty fucking nice if you give the global standard. I don't. And I'm not gonna. And I'm pointing it out, and I'm still like, because I'm fucking ruled by fear. It goes into a bank account because I'm like, what if my wife needs an operation? What if this job is going to go away? It's probably going to get worse. I'm probably going to be working for an app or something in the future. You know what I mean? It's really like
so then doesn't that drive
selfish survival thing that comes in, and I fucking hate it, but not enough to change it because I'm fucking terrified of being one of those people I want to help out.
What about just gradual changes? It's scary to change it all at once, but don't you find yourself wanting to gradually change it?
Well, I do. I mean, like, you know, I donate and stuff more, and especially like when there's times between having the gig where you're like, is this show coming back or whatever and all that, and you're like, all right, well, now it's back to just kind of pinching my pennies. But when I feel like things are all right, I'm like, let me get lunch, let me get this, let me pay for your ticket or whatever. And it's not like I'm trying to be like, Daddy Warbucks has it. It's just like, I remember moving out here and not, you know, like walking 3 miles to do a fucking open mic because I was too stupid to take the bus for $1. You know, it was like a pre-lift time. And so like when I'm hanging out with a friend who's in that boat, it's like, yeah, there were people who bought me fucking canners and shit and gave me rides up to like the goddamn Liquid Zoo to do a set for fucking nobody while I had beans in a crock pot. And it's like, there's no fucking way I can keep going around when I don't have to do that and know someone maybe who just moved here or someone who's their peak turned into a valley, or maybe they've just been fucking slugging it out the whole time without, you know, I don't have my job because I'm so fucking, I mean, I kept my job because I'm really good at it, but it wasn't because people were like, God damn, we got to let this guy be a segment producer into this ridiculousness. It was just like, I did good at one thing, and then someone gave me a shot, and I did good at that. But it wasn't.
That's how it
could have been
always
anyone,
is.
though. You know what I mean? There's so many people it could have been. It wasn't like I clawed my way to the top of this fucking job.
I feel like that's how it works a lot of times. They're probably looking at a bunch of people, and they're like, "Yeah, I like this one the
I knew
most."
someone who recommended me for an interview who got me a trial period, and then they were like, "Oh, you did a good job. You came in." But like I know plenty of people who have been qualified to do that. I mean, I also feel like most people I know, I'd be like, I would do this better than you. Like, the stupid thing I do, I'm good at for money in the daytime, and that's not that big a deal. But they still, you know, when I have other friends and I know got more money than them right now, I'm like, just let me pay for this little, like, this thing. They're like, you don't have to fuck do. I'm like, what? If you had this job, you would do this.
It's like in the
Turtles.
only
reason I have it and you don't is arbitrary.
It's like in the Ninja Turtles game where your health is full and there's a pizza you're walking by or your health is almost full. And like, yeah, you could give yourself a little bit of health by consuming that pizza, but your buddy who's like running on low, he's going to get the full benefit of that pizza. So that $6 that you give that person means more to them than the $6 does to you, like percentage wise.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and doing that,
and also it's nice to do, but in the long, it's strategic, I guess too. That's not in the forefront of my mind, but society should look at socialist fucking ideas that way too. It's like, it does benefit everyone if everyone's taken care of.
Yeah.
It's like the same people who like,
it's how our body works.
Hate socialist programs are like tough on crime. It's like, you think people would be breaking into your shit if they had enough money to live? No one likes robbing houses. It's not maybe a couple teenagers do like to go in and cut up, but like those are like outlier maniac kids. You're always gonna have that shit. But like most crime,
yeah, it's out of necessity.
Yeah, people aren't. You learn to enjoy it. You tell yourself you like it. But I guarantee you 90% of people, the first time they break into a car to get enough money to eat or whatever they're supposed to do, it wasn't a fun day.
Yeah.
And if you had a guaranteed income or something, your fucking windows would still be there. But heaven forbid you have to fucking pay a little extra taxes or something. You're going to get taxed one way or the other, because eventually, if you're fucking hoarding money, someone's going to steal your shit. And if you keep that going long enough, they're going to take your fucking head.
Mm-hmm. That's what is it? Like or supposedly the ruling class, it's like you want to keep them oppressed just enough so that they're not rioting in the streets.
They're red line in the needle right now.
Yeah, just keeping it at that level. And I've said this before a lot, but it's how our bodies work. It's not like your liver. If your liver needs help, the rest of your body isn't like, no, these are my resources. The rest of your body gives resources to the part of your body that needs it, and it is like a socialist system. And
yeah,
not like
right
necessarily. It's not your body is Marxist or whatever type of socialism
that people put on shit. That's like with memorizing the names and the dates.
Yeah,
it's like if the concept is natural, like what's the thing like the ultimate? What was it he said about the truth? That's a pretty good thing he said today. He's like the ultimate goal of religion is to arrive at the truth so that there is no religion.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing, but
no, he
said
that pretty
those
much.
Kinds of concepts. It's like that. People, I'm not communist. This. It's like, well, just take all the semantics out of it, and it should work itself out. But ego gets in the fucking way.
It sucks. The labels are all, it's like punk rock or alternative or country or something. It's what those things are. I'm not communist. I'm not socialist.
Yeah.
And capitalism is really cool, but it doesn't work if you have limited resources. It only works if you have
capitalism, because the government's subsidizing these corporations half. So what's capitalist about an auto bailout? The cap's supposed to be like these daring money daredevils. That's all they are. They're like evil Knievel fucking money people.
Oh, do you know what I heard? Which I was hoping that we'd hear at that lecture, but we didn't hear.
They get bailed out. So it's socialism.
Selectively. The bank bailout. Wasn't there like a something $1 trillion bailout on top of the $750 billion bailout? And isn't all of taxes now going to paying interest on the Federal Reserve right now? Is something I heard.
I don't understand the Federal Reserve, and I've watched so many YouTube videos on it, and most of them just end with somehow it's the Jews' fault. And I'm like, this is scary.
I don't think when they're talking about that conspiracy, from what I understand, I don't think it's the Jew as in like people who are Jewish or something. It's like specifically like 12 Zionists. Yeah, it's like specifically 12 people, not the Jews.
It's this crazy old Myron something. This old guy did like a 3 LP thing in the 60s. It's on YouTube about the Illuminati. He was like exposing the secrets of the Illuminati. And at one point, and if this is an actual real slur that's really offensive,
we've already gone down that road this episode.
But this guy, he refers to this Jewish banker guy, he's like, and so saw in this man a powerful money wizard. And I was like, money wizard.
Money wizard.
What a great, if you could put that in your resume, that's like that would be, if it's not a real fucking slur to the Jewish community, man, imagine that. You go into the banking sector and it's like, says you're a money wizard?
Well,
some whiz kid, he's like, that's right. And he fixes both of his eyebrows with his index and his pinky.
The Jew money thing is because they're like Jewish people have been, chased out of they have no home. They get chased out of everywhere. So money is like
they just handled the money too.
Yeah, it's something you got to hold on to or be good at so you can survive everywhere.
There's another thing where they couldn't get work. People wouldn't let them work in these regular jobs. And so they kind of invented the job of like, all right, well, we'll organize the money system. And people are like, fuck, all right. But it's like because of the discrimination. This was explained to me by a Jewish person, and I'm probably butchering it. But they're like, yeah, get fucked around. And then some Jewish guy's like, all right, well, we'll just do the accounting or whatever it was. People are like, sure, yeah. Just stay out of my goddamn Christian stone fitting union. You heathen.
Have you heard what is that? Was it Guy?
No Jesus means you can't lay bricks.
Guy Branum has a bit, I think, about how, during the Holocaust, when people are getting worried, the Jews that weren't neurotic are obviously the ones getting killed. So what's get weeded out over time is like, of course, every Jewish person is neurotic because the ones that weren't.
The science checks out. Yeah, the neurotics survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, paranoia is probably a good survival skill.
Yeah. Yeah, the most laid back people probably didn't make it far evolutionarily. Probably have to.
No, they all died on couches.
Yeah, it's a good life.
The couches that they don't own or pay rent for the room they're in.
But it's a good incarnation. I guess we can wrap it up, or we can go another like 6 minutes, and then it's 2 hours.
Yeah, if you want.
And then we're gonna be a stickler for it.
This is a thing I have to work on. Is like I'll just go.
You'll just
forever.
Keep going?
I'll just talk forever. And eventually I'll be at someone's house at like midnight and they're like, it's Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's why we do. That's why we're in this town, though. We wouldn't have come to this town if it wasn't for some kind of illness of
I just
talking too much or wanting attention or some kind of the look at me disease.
Like attention, but it's not even like the need to be the center of attention. I really like, man, just a bunch of people hanging around bullshitting. That's great. I remember when I graduated high school, everyone was just sitting around my friend's house, like basically, and it's like, what are we all? It's like some people knew what they were gonna do. I was like, I guess I'm going in the Air Force. It was that weird, like, being like a movie of coming of age. Like everyone's just like, oh man, the thing we're supposed to do is done, and now we have to go start being adults. And I was just like face down on a living room floor on a hot, humid, lazy summer day. And my friend's mom's like, what are you boys going to do? Which she meant with your day, but it sounded like with the rest of your life. And I remember just saying through my matted hippie hair on my face, because I didn't cut it yet, I just want to hang out.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's the memory that really sticks where I'm like, that's it. I just want to hang out.
That's not like when you're dead and gone, that's like going to be a very fond thing to be remembered by. It's like he had many interests, but at his core, he just wanted to hang out. So we ask right now not to have a moment of silence, but for all of you to just hang out for 15 minutes. I hope my
funeral is just a solid hang.
Man, at Underbelly, the show at
people setting beer on my casket. It'd be fucking great.
Playing beer pong on the casket
which is weird because I won't be in it.
In what's the thing? Underbelly, that show where comics do anything but stand-up comedy. Chris Garcia was Dennis Miller, and he dressed up as Dennis Miller and then asked the audience to throw ping pong balls at him. It was relevant because of something Dennis Miller said. I don't really know what the context was, but he had hundreds of ping pong balls, and then at the end of the show, he had this big bucket of ping pong balls, and they just threw them into the middle of the street, whatever that street is, like not Hillhurst, whatever that street that Dynasty is on, and just watch all the ping pong balls just bounce away. And then there was still a few hundred left in the bucket, and we just stayed out there for like 3 hours trying to throw ping pong balls at the top of the roof, and we're just looking at each other like, when was the last time we did this when we weren't 12?
That's
like
fun.
These are men in their 30s and 40s.
You know why men in their 30s don't make new friends and don't have many friends? Because the friends they did make, they've moved on, or maybe some. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's not odd for someone who have died at this point in our lives.
Oh yeah, I know several.
I was reading about it because I was basically like, why is that true? Why don't I have friends like I did? Why doesn't anyone? Like everyone I know, it's like we know like 1,000 people here, but everyone's a little bit lonely.
Yeah,
And
it's weirdly isolating, which
Yeah.
I've kind of fixed it through doing this
Well,
and through reaching out to
yeah.
people. But
That's great.
do you do that? Do you ever just reach out? It's easy. Just reach out to people randomly to just go get coffee.
No.
And you just go sit and drink coffee.
And I should. My wife she's a genius. She's like the dumbest genius. I mean, in the smartest way. She's not dumb, but like no one like talks or looks at her and is like, nah, she's real witty and smart. She doesn't have that like flash dazzle. She doesn't need attention. She will never ask a question. If you try to do crowd work on her, it's gonna ruin your fucking soul. But like just like a little fucking unwitting Buddhist. She's just like, I'll be like, man, no one ever wants to do anything. I think everyone just fucking hates me. She's like, call them. I'm like, it's because they don't want to hear from me. How do you know your friends are sitting around thinking the same thing, or they just forgot?
They are.
And then like, yeah, right, you're right. And I still like it's half the time I fucking don't.
Every comic thinks they're not going on stage enough, that people don't like them, that there is an in crowd, there is a group of people gallivanting around Silver Lake while they're just alone in their apartment. And
yeah, everyone's thinking the same shit. Like they're gonna break it down where they're gonna be reading our minds and publishing it and shit, like in some fucking horrific dystopian way, I think. And it sounds terrifying, but I think what people are gonna find out, it's like, oh, we're all thinking the same shit.
We are.
It's not even that like scary. It's like, oh, and that's why there's a aspect of comedy. It doesn't always happen. I don't think it's necessary though, where someone says something that you probably wouldn't say, and I don't mean to be offensive or shocking, but you just somehow are able to make a joke or some kind of bit out of a thing that people do all think, and it's not commonly voiced because maybe it's embarrassing or it's weird or you think you're alone in it. And that's like a real cathartic reaction, and it can be very funny too. Where you're like, "Oh, holy shit! Thank God."
Yeah, it's a relief.
One that stuck with me. It's very stupid. It's juvenile. This guy was like, "You ever try to piss the bowl clean?"
Mm-hmm.
This is for the guys. Sorry, ladies. Sorry. Now I'm always in my head. I'm like, "There's ladies with that genitalia now," or as always has been. Anyway, sorry, vagina possessors. He goes, "You ever try to piss the bowl clean?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. If there's like a little fleck of stain on the toilet bowl, I'll pee on that till it goes away." I don't think, maybe it's just me and that guy.
No,
a lot of people
a lot of people do.
But when would you ever say, like, you know, when I take a pee, if there's like a little turd on the toilet bowl, I try and dislodge that thing with my urine stream.
And memes have pointed that out a lot too, especially things like, you know, sometimes the pee stream splitting off in two ways, like not even going in the toilet at all, just weird. George Carlin was good at that. Like, remember he'd do like bits like, you ever just, you know, pick in between your toenails and then smell them a little? We all do it. We don't like to talk about it, but we do it. And
he knew. Wow, he was in that before.
Yeah, he was all about that, and he would be extremely you know, he'd get down with politics and, you know, all politicians are bad and get on the soapbox.
I think that's how he got you, because he brought you in on the little thing where you're like, all right, this guy picks his toe jam and smells it.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him aren't so different. And then it takes you all the way. He's like, oh, maybe if this guy picks his toe jam and smells it, he wouldn't be lying to me about there being a global elite that has a vested interest in keeping me barely fed and alive in order to serve their fucking opulent desires.
He owed money to the IRS forever, and every time he paid them, like, he owed a little more each year, like, till, you know, he just collapsed. He knew some stuff. All right.
We've done it.
Yeah, I'm at 1% phone battery, which has got my little timer, and I think that's indicative of. Yeah, that's good. We did a good 2 hours, talked about all the stuff, covered all the
Rogan levels,
called all the actually 2 to 4 hours. That would be it. I think Rogan has some 5-hour ones, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes long.
Do you still tune in?
No, I'm not.
Not a Rogan head.
I'm not a super podcast guy either.
Oh,
I'm trying to get back into, because I spend so much time playing music in the car and everywhere else.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I get bored of both. I get bored of people talking, then I get bored of music. And the weird thing is when you get bored of both, then you're like, oh, I should probably just take these headphones off and have my own thoughts for a moment.
Yeah, that's nice too.
But it's nice to have those three settings: yourself, music, and people talking.
Yeah.
Is there a fourth setting? I think that's it.
I listen to ambient shit sometimes.
Just like ASMR. I like binaural beats.
Some of that. Binaural beats, those are weird. That's fun. Especially if you got like good stereo split headphones. You can really get tweak down on. Sometimes just like the ocean, or like just like what's allegedly the sounds of Jupiter's magnetic field. Just some shit some hippie made with an echo chamber, I think.
Yeah, and it all just boils down to a waveform, even if it is that.
I don't really care where it's. Yeah, I don't need to be sold on the mythos of.
The real thing is actually.
Yeah,
and it's all.
Yeah, I'm just.
Have you watched the OA? I know we said we'd stop it already, but I have one more question. Have you seen the OA?
I watched some of it, and it wasn't because I didn't like it. I just got distracted, didn't finish it.
Oh, it just reminded me because he taped Saturn, and then like when she dies and goes to the near-death experiments.
Yeah. It's probably terrible if I watch it.
Or no, she doesn't die, but you'll see it later. Like when they get her into the place where she's in between life and death, they're like, "Did you hear this sound?" She's like, "Yeah," and then he shows him the thing, and she was in Saturn.
Wow,
but it's like a fictional TV show, so she wasn't actually on Saturn.
Yeah, that didn't really happen.
But who was...
Real quick before we go, you think this could end up being a half hour. The Coltrane thing, that's why I got real excited about that. The color wheel. The color wheel, the circle of fifths with the major outside, minor inside thing, and it lined up with the zodiac too.
Yeah.
Those are all the notes are all frequency, and the colors are all frequency. But then I went down like I have a copy of Synchronicity with a bunch of, it's like something an insane person would have. One of my friends was like, "Are you doing a thing where this is like, oh, and that's when Rick stopped being able to talk to normally and just went beautiful mind on us." But it's just, I was like, dude, every single thing, this is not a novel idea either. I'm like a genius, but it's all frequency.
Yeah. And look at that word. Look at that word frequency. It's just how frequently the energy goes up here and then is back down here and then it went back up to that peak.
That's when people talk about your vibes, your vibrations.
Yeah.
But music, there's the BPM,
beats
which
per
is
minute.
A frequency. It's how frequent the one comes.
Yeah.
And all the notes are a much higher frequency. So a song is only composed of frequency.
It is.
And so what's to say that, so just the entire sum of reality is composed of frequency. Now, what are frequencies composed of?
It's all moving
vibrational mass and energy.
Yeah, and the
at
deeper
a certain vibration are the same fucking thing.
Yeah, because the deeper we look into it, we can't find anything. There's no atom. If you look closer, it's made of component or the
God particle, basically,
or not even. There's no God particle even.
Yeah, because that would have to be made of something.
Yeah, the deeper you look in, and I haven't drawn this up yet, but I have this idea for a book where it's it's some kids in a trench coat trying to sneak into a adult movie or something, that old trope, and then they open up the coat and it's like, it's like 4 kids in one thing, and then you look into them and it's like, it's actually not a kid, it's actually a bunch of cells in a coat, and then to look into that, it's like, oh, it's actually a bunch of molecules in a coat, and the longer you look in, all of reality is composed of kids hiding in a trench coat pretending to be a bigger thing when really it's just composed of smaller things.
Like mushroom thought.
Yeah, forever. And it goes on forever. There's no such thing as things. That's my whole rap.
I'm just like, hey, man, I'll pick one thing, like it'll be something as similar to the idea of like, just the entire summation of reality is just 3 kids in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Like a metaphor. Last time it was like, I go, all of civilization is the equivalent of some guy trying to learn 3 chords to play a Beatles song to impress a girl who sewed some patches on her jean jacket.
It is.
Like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's all football is. It's just like someone who's like, I'm going to learn to play Blackbird, so fucking Tiffany with the patches on her jacket will look at me. Or wagon wheel.
I liked it because it sounded cool, but I can't speak to my deeper... I don't know why I do the things I do, but I did meet people that say they started playing guitar to meet girls, and they're never good guitar players.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
Just say hi to them.
Yeah. Girls, I thought I was doing it because you accepted that you would never get to be with girls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did
it as like, I guess I'll never talk to girls, so I guess I should learn this. This is kind of fun. I like the sounds that this dude makes. Oh, I forgot this other thought where... John Frusciante of the Chili Peppers, he kind of got to that place where you were talking about where you just record music and you're not trying to make a product. And so, he was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers and then quit and then came back in 99 and then like left more gracefully in I think 2006. He didn't just storm out one day and saying like, no, I'm being disconnected from creativity, I have to stop this now. It's like, but we have a show in 2 minutes. No, I gotta leave now. He freaked out in the early 90s because he was just a kid. He like couldn't, they had to cancel a show in Japan, like a big arena show. He just couldn't go on stage because he was
like untamable.
Yeah, and then
impulse.
Was strung out on heroin for a while and just painted. Helps. And then, but then he rejoined, and then they made all those records, and then he was making a solo record every month for a year, like just released a bunch of solo records, and they're good. They're not like Chili Peppers. It's a different sound. It's more experimental, avant-garde, but I like them a lot. And then from there, he just kind of eventually came to this conclusion, like, yeah, I don't want to release products anymore. I just kind of hang out in the soundscape. And I see that with people like Victor Wooten. Victor Wooten could release a new record every single day, but it's like he knows too much to care about burning something onto a record. It's like, no, let's just invent the thing and then get over it, and then invent the thing, get over it.
Well, it's like mandala creation in the Tibetan practices, you know, those sand mandalas.
What do? They just sweep over them when they're done?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that shit. It's like
sand castles, but flat.
Yeah, and they're incredibly intricate and gorgeous. They're works of art, and then they just
and they don't take a picture.
No, I would cheapen it in a way, right? Just brush it away. Of
course they would.
It's the point isn't the art. It's nice, and I think they take a moment. I guarantee when the guy makes a good one, he looks at it a minute and he goes, "That's nice."
Just immediately swipes it after the last stroke.
You gotta be able to sweep it away, otherwise, you know, like attachment will sour it in a way. Yeah. I think that we can wrap up on this if you want. Maybe it seems like, but like nihilism, like the idea that it's all meaningless. It is inherently on a long enough timeline. Like your accomplishments and shit, well, they will be swept away. We'll all be swept away. But that's not the fucking point. The point is you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, well, so like I have friends who you're like a nihilist. And I'm like, you know, say it like it's so terrible, like I'm trying to poo-poo the party. It's like it doesn't matter. It should matter. What's gonna remember?
Have you heard the line?
Like,
nothing.
Be here now. Enjoy it.
Have you heard the line? Nothing lasts, but nothing is lost.
No, that sounds nice.
So what? My interpretation of that is, so everything does go away, but also, if you look at the trajectory of the Earth and the solar system, like we were talking about earlier, we never revisit the same path. Like we're constantly moving outward. The universe is expanding outward. There's no evidence that why like the whole system, not like maybe this universe, maybe this one does contract eventually and it breathes, but the whole thing seems to be growing in complexity and expanding, and we're never revisiting the same path. So while stuff does get deleted from our perspective, it's like it's writing onto a record. Like the Earth is constantly rotating and spinning outwards.
Like the geographical concept of time.
Yeah,
like
so that mandala is gone from our perspective, but if we were standing outside of time, it's like, no, that mandala is there. We just have to go to there because the Earth revisited that spot and it never touches that place again.
That mandala's over here.
Yeah,
I think about that a lot, and not enough because I still fuck up. But just the way I behave, like if I'm screaming at some guy in traffic,
it's there forever.
Yeah. If anytime I'm doing something I'm not proud of, I'm like, you're doing that forever. Like some alien can just go to that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure they're evolved enough to not, like the same way we see people as having grown over time, they see people as being their full summation. It's like, all right, well, in these areas, this person was weak or bad even. The bulk of this picture is not that.
Yeah.
But still, it's like to think, like if I'm making someone feel bad because I'm thinking that's somehow gonna make me, for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, I've done
like,
it.
Yeah, dude. I have like a weird. Sometimes I'm like, it's justice or something. It's like it's not. Like you feel good now, but at what expense? Then you're like, that's forever. You did that forever. You were flipping that fucking guy off forever.
Yeah, it's your own punishment.
Sometimes
he doesn't have to come to your house.
I'm flipping that guy off forever until I change my mind later. But yeah, it's the same thing where it's like, you know, if you're being an asshole somewhere, you're being an asshole there forever to some higher fucking thing. That could be you in the future. So
Yeah, it already is you. The fact that you're regretting it now,
Yeah.
it's like you don't even need the alien to come see it and impose shame on you. It's like you are that alien not shaming, but feeling the shame of having flipped that guy off or yelling at that customer service person or...
yeah.
One more thought to end on, the deleting of stuff. It's like also a Ram Dass quote or trope thing where he burned all of his photos from the 60s and memorabilia that you really should have kept on, like 60s, like that's so important, that historical thing. And the way he justified it was, thinking that what he was doing was trying to accumulate enough stuff so that if he ever ran out of the present moment, he would have more present moment. But he realizes that, I know you'll never run out of the present moment. I don't need this present moment to hold on to once it goes away. So they burned it, and then he makes the joke of like, and someone was doing a documentary about me that week, so it's actually all on video, the burning of the photos. So he's like, it's their karma now. They own the photos.
That's good. Yeah, be able to let go of things is good. I never accumulate much. I've started to try to get more photos or things, but never would. And then at one point I was like, it would be nice to be able to just flip through, jog my memory a little, or just to share something when someone else is asking. You're like, oh, you have any photos of that? I'm like, no. Just never take them. Even when I meet, I know comics who like they're pretty prudent about, they get a photo when they work with, especially they work with a bigger name, they're excited.
I used to do that.
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't meant to sound judgy because I've heard people just condescend to this endlessly. But I'm always just like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see them again somehow. And then not I have this destiny to be great and among their ranks. It's just, to me, I don't know why I think that. Like, maybe I should have got a picture when I opened for so-and-so. And in my head, I'm like,
I'd rather
I'll remember it or see him.
Current
again.
me, I'd rather just have the actual connection with them than use them as a prop. Like, look at me, I'm in the same bubble of success as this person.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly I'm not as successful as this person, but
I can't post. I don't say it to try and make someone else feel like they suck for it. But there is a certain amount of so much like what's supposed to be promotional, and I engage in this where I'm like promoting a show, and I'm like, is anyone that sees this going to come out to see me? It's like half the time this is like, hey, I'm still doing this to other comics. Like I'll sometimes like posters you'll see, you're like,
of the tours that people go on.
And I made a tour poster, but sometimes like the addendum, the information, it's like, just so you know that this gig, you're like how awesome each one's going to be and how important you are to the gig. It's like, I'm like, just these are the dates and locations.
Yeah.
I'm either going to be doing 10 or 45 or somewhere in between.
Devil's advocate, though, to the posting of that stuff, what it also does, not like as a bragging thing, but it does inform people that you're still doing that and you're in town, and booking a show is more work than you anticipate. Like, I only book a monthly show.
Very useful.
And when I see someone doing that poster thing, I'm like, oh, they're in town for this week. I'll message them instead of looking at this big list and going like, no, yes. It's like it's so a serendipity of who is around at the time.
No, it's like
especially
going your need or your availability. Like
going to shows.
What you're gonna do. Yeah.
If you go to someone's show a bunch of times, like they have to. If you're a all right comic, they have to put you up because it's like, all right, please stop coming out to my show and just
standing
standing
I don't
there.
go to shows because I'm worried people think that's why I'm coming.
But
that's terrible.
But we all know we're all idiots though.
Why I'm just like, I should just go. I should go. Like usually I just go.
You should embrace
like the
idiothood more.
It is,
I think
or I like the lineup. If there's a show, even if I desperately want to be on it and it's not a lineup that I'm particularly interested in seeing, for a variety of reasons, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'll wait till it's like I want to go to it.
Oh yeah. Don't just go.
Yeah.
Don't go begrudgingly just so that your face is appearing there. But go have a good time. And
I remember asked someone once, I knew they had a show. They started, how's your show going? He's like, I can't get you out now. I got too many. This is the guy who said I got too many white guys. I was like mad as shit. Not about the white guys thing. I was like, I didn't even want to be on this show.
Yeah, you didn't.
I just was like trying to be interested in someone's life. And in his defense, I'm sure every other time that comes up, it is that person's trying to get on the show. So it's just reactionary.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, man. It's so weird.
Well, kudos to them for, saying it as it is.
Yeah.
Telling it like it is. That's the phrase.
Yeah, I
Not
wasn't
saying
really
it like it
mad about
is.
it.
Look, man, I say it how it.
But when the poster came out for the next time at show,
Which one?
I'm not going to say what show it was. But that guy who said, I can't book you, I guess two white guys. He was like all white guys.
It was all white guys.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
So he was right. He did have too many.
Yeah, he just couldn't add an extra slot.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good note to end on. You want people to find you anywhere?
Yeah, I guess.
What social media would you want the most?
I guess the most.
You're on Twitter the
no
most?
one's on Facebook, right? It's for old people. Weirdos.
No
But
one's
if
on
you're,
Facebook the most.
I want to get off it, but I do use the Messenger app.
I like
That's what they get
Instagram
you.
the most.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm currently like,
It's the most positive one.
Instagram. Yeah,
It just feels there's less
there's not a lot of
yelling.
snark on Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter is so it's you just open it up and
I
it's just
hate
yelling.
it, but I get on it. I'm on both Twitter and Instagram under the same handle though. It's Rick Wood, but the O's in Wood are zeros.
Ah, very clever.
Yeah, so
I'm sure the
other
readers will
Rick
enjoy
Woods,
that, even though they're
God.
listeners and not readers.
Man.
Thanks for listening to the very end, guys. That's been the show. I'm dragging on ending it just because I'm in the rhythm of not ending the thing. I'm not good at transitions. Like, I'm not good at leaving the house. I'm not good at coming home. Like, I'll stay out later than I thought that I'd come
Me
home,
too.
and I'll leave later. I'm late to everything because it's like, no, it'd only take me 15 minutes to get there. Thus, I'll leave at exactly 15 minutes before, and forgetting if you have to pee or go find your keys or
I like traveling. I hate leaving.
yeah, exactly. The transition is painful, but
Going to the
unfortunately,
airport
we
is
must
the hardest thing in the world for me.
we must transition now. So, listener, transition to your next episode, or take the headphones off or your speaker off and go enjoy your own thoughts. Any final words for the stupid listeners? No, they're good listeners. I love you, listeners. I think my dad listens to this.
Thanks
Hey, Dad,
thank
do
you
you
for
listen
your
to the whole
time.
thing?
Thanks for being with us.
Anything bad I said during this is not true. Only good things are true. In case it's any family listening. I don't think I said any bad things, though.
If my mom's listening, sometimes I feel like I make it sound like it was awful, my childhood, because my stepdad pointed that out once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in this podcast, you can make your mother feel terrible.
Well,
She did a very
it's just
good
interesting
job.
things
She just
to
had
say.
an interesting set of circumstances, which is not also just like I had some sob story childhood. But it's hard to balance that out, where you're like, things were a little bit nutty for a while. But I'm like, my mom wasn't like putting cigarettes out on us or anything like that. She was just, working a lot and trying to fucking deal with whatever dumb life she'd been dealing with.
Yeah,
So
no
that's why I
parent
didn't
is
have college
no
loans.
parent is what is it? No parent is what the kid wants, and no kid is the exact version of what the parents thought it'd be. It's like we're own entities.
So if my
with
mom's
our own.
listening, don't smoke so many cigarettes. I love you.
All right, good night, guys. Or good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. We recorded this at night.